and I can just sense that I'm going to be a few minutes late. It's going to happen. There it is. Yep. Bathing it. You're like, where is he? Where is he? Is he coming? Is he coming? Is he? Oh, here. What's up? Hello, one and all. Wrong scene. That's a good start. That's more like it. That's the color scheme we're looking for. Good vibes on a Friday. A perfect day to introduce a new map to Competitive Age of Empires 4. That's right. Welcome back, guys. It is that time. HIMS has returned for the 6th iteration of our HIMS Cup. This week, absolute banger. We have got Anatan versus LuMT, 2 unbeaten champions, and a lot of stiff upper lip time spent on a particular new map called Stiff. First of all, we've got to give our shout out to the sponsor. Big shout out goes to HIMS who make this possible. Guys, if you haven't checked out HIMS, you happen to have issues with your hairline, or maybe, as we're talking a lot about this month, there's something down below that doesn't want to work. You can punch it in the groin as much as you want, but it doesn't seem to get all the way up. It fails a little bit like sometimes our cast in Age of Empires 4 does. You don't have to worry. HIMS could have you covered. Be sure to check them out. It's a strictly online service. You're able to go through a survey that will guide you to the medication and services that may be able to provide you a happier time with your loved one. And, well, they will be with us throughout the rest of the month. So be sure to check in on them regularly. And also remember that checking that in, using their services goes a long way to ensuring they come back and get involved in Age of Empires 4 more in the future. As I'm sure we can all agree, it has been a big, wonderful, welcoming addition to our humble little scene, considering the amazing content we've been able to deliver for 6 Fridays now, and still 6 more to come. Big shout out to HIMS. So, draft is underway, amigos. We are going to be using our brand spanking new map. We have got a few maps to slot around that. And let me actually get the players in. They are the other way around. So it's going to be LuMT on the left, Anatan on the right. Map draft poll is there. And our draft is currently live and underway. So yes, every time, remember the way that this works is that we are going to have 4 maps that will get, 4 maps, my brain, will get used outside of this brand spanking new map. So the idea is to keep it a little bit fresh, not just make it super repetitive. So game 1, 3, 5, and so on. Basically every odd numbered game in the series will be on the brand spanking new map called Stiff. As for the in-betweens, it'll be, in this case, Gorge, Dry Arabia, Rocky River, and Lipony that get used. Yeah, Hillendale and Enlightened Horizon both getting banned out. And we do see the Ottos coming in at a reasonable point in the draft. I feel like this Civ is actually like, I don't want to say completely thriving, but doing pretty damn well for themselves. They're not really neglected anymore like they once were. Sorry, just had some in the background I had to respond to. Does HIMS offer the laser off the junk service? No. The whole point of HIMS, what they're trying to do here for you, Arcleve. I've gone to the point where I got the junk lasered off, right? But, they're trying to help you get to the point where you even need the junk lasered off, right? Some people not very good at keeping a ball up in the air. Similar with certain functions down there. So they're there to provide the pills that would actually get to the stage where you'd even need to think about what you're going to do if you accidentally get someone pregnant. Because some people just can't even get to that stage. And that's where HIMS can be incredible and of great assistance. Exclamation mark, HIMS. Okay, so draft. Getting into the deeper phases. We are going to see ambassadors coming out. The way we've done this, by the way, I'm going to have to double check my own wording because we're creating new drafting formats. So what I told them is we're going to have a best of 7 draft here. But after game 6 of the best of 9, they will redraft into a best of 3 draft, which is one where both players will pick 4 civs. So the idea with that is to, make drafting matter, not just give you a free pass if you screw up too badly, but also make it not so linear and boring that by the time you get to the last game, it's like, okay, GG, we know the outcome. Why did the music stop playing, by the way? I'm going to fix that. Very Valve vibes all the way through. Let me double check. Have I got all the bots are set up, right? I think commands should be coming through from both platforms. Yes. Yeah. Okay, nice. That's good. Before I was having issues where the functions on the merge chats wasn't automatically working. So I'm glad that's now working. Interesting draft, though. Nice Templar actually making it through, but I guess not too surprising when you look at the maps. I mean, Rocky River does have fishing, but the fishing is so low, we don't often see civs do it anymore. Outside that, you're talking about land-exclusive maps. Even the brand new map Stiff, you'll find, does not have much in the way of liquids in it. I probably could have found a better way to word that, but, you know, if you want your Stiff to have liquids in it, anyway, so yeah, there's no water maps to be super panic freaked out about. In terms of the other picks, I mean, HRE Roost bans are just given. The Mongols ban is kind of intriguing. So Louis MT, that gives him a little bit of variance here. You know, it's not always going to be your go-to pick when Mongols is just etagigi, but there's going to be some matchups where it can make sense. I also think this is partially Louis thinking about the brand new map that we've created. Stiff has some interesting elements there that Mongols might find useful. You saw the recording of yesterday's finals. It was disgusting. Hopefully in a good way. Like, which part of it? There was some disgusting things along the way. Like, some of the games were like, oh, what did I just watch? Definitely one that delivered in the end. I think, like, so... I'm trying to think what the standout game was. I mean, the B comeback was pretty insane. Oh, the docks on Canal? Yeah, no, that was a quick game. That was a very quick game. That's what reminded me, actually. I need to... Have I got space on my hard drive? I need to actually upload more stuff for my editor. I've just been so busy I didn't get a chance. Yeah, let me empty my recycle bin. There's no way we end up using like 600 gigabytes of space on today's series, right? That would be silly. Yeah, how far back are we, like, actually, in terms of what I need to upload? Oh, we still got recordings from, like, the end of May. Interesting. Yeah, I was kind of terrible yesterday at making notes of the interesting games. Whoops. I think we've just got Louis getting ready, so we should be ready to get underway in a second. Classic Louis, right? Like, normally he waits until halfway through a series when he's losing to go for, like, a bathroom break or a coffee break and then comes back and annihilates. Today's like, yeah, just give me a sec. Oh, I love Anatan, man. Dude, what a character. So, yeah, Louis typed in our chat, please give me 3 minutes. And Anatan, just like that, is like, it's usually my average game length on Stiff. And yo, wait, what? We're getting... Okay, that's interesting. We're getting House of Lancaster versus English for G1 on Stiff. I do not have Stiff in our back-end tool, so I can't add it when... Like, people are going to ask, you just have to let them know. When they go, what map is this? Because we don't have a way of actually displaying that on screen without doing it weird in a manual way. Which I'd rather avoid, because that becomes quite tedious. Like, we'd basically have to be, like, what, set up like this and... Also, let me hide that logo. We'd basically have to... Oh my god, it's doing it again, chat. Did every time without failure. It doesn't... Like, the stupidest part is it doesn't do it every stream. I think that's what's driving me nuts. It's not even every stream. So it's like, I kind of just forget about it, and then it happens again. So, like, we could do something like this. But that's going to be annoying to remember to turn off every game between. Also, just like the hilarity is just the word stiff there is going to be very confusing to people in general, I think. They're like, all right, someone's a bit rowdy. Like, no, stiff. Yeah, you already said that, KP. Like, calm down. Like, why are you being this way? Stiff! Yeah, dude, chill. You're being weird. In fact, let me put that in there anyway. Maybe I'll keep it there at least for game one and then forget about it. Bigger? Jeez, chill. Brother. They need to go that far. Be reasonable. I just realized we're actually missing... Let me update the carousel, because we are missing something important here, which is actually... It's like, I had to look after Ezra all day, so like, I admittedly didn't have as much time to square off the things I want to square off. There you go. That'll work nicely. Font really fits the... I think it's better than doing the all cap. You know, the all caps were a little bit like, dude, I'm like, chill. It's too much. It's too in your face. No one wants stiff in their face like that. Put it on Comic Sans. Are we really getting this snobby? I cannot believe you used Arial. How dare you? I don't even know what I'm using for that. That is Adobe Devanagari Regular. Very fancy. What a name. For a font I'll never remember. By the way, reminder, $75 on offer today. We like to keep it nice and simple, enough to get the boys in there, but we don't need to be breaking the bank wide open. There we go. I'm guilting Cowan to seeing if he can add our icon to the map. I did give it to him like over a week ago, and I don't think he took it seriously that it was going to be a competitive map. I think that was the problem here. He must have just thought we were memeing or something. It's like, oh, honey. No. I'm intrigued to see how this one plays out. Like, you know, obviously part of the design of the maps is the comical element, but it's more than that. Arial isn't a free font? What the hell? Bro. Really? Is Calibri? I wonder if Calibri is. Must be, right? Yeah. Dude, like, I'm getting annoyed by this at the back, by the way. What's my head doing today? Get up there. Stay up there. Stop being annoying. Like, you ever get that where you have a little bit of loose hair at the back and you can hear, I feel like, bobbling around? I mean, if you don't get that, maybe it's because you got no hair. We'll talk about that next month. I was curious if this was insight you'd share. How expensive is it to run a tournament in the scene and get the interest of players, commentators? It varies. It depends on what you're doing. If you're running a full production, that's going to have additional costs. So, like, you know, if you want to run a production where you've got, like, producer/observer, plus 2 casters and an admin, you're probably spending, like, $1,000 a day. And that's just, like, back-end stuff, right? And then maybe graphics asset has more. But it varies. Prices can go up, prices can go down. So for me, I literally run this lean as a 2-man team. On Tune, I pay a reasonable amount. It's not cheap each month. But outside that, I do everything, right? And then we had like the one-off cost of getting Akame to do all the assets. But yeah, like, so with KPMM, that's how that one ran. With this, actually, sorry, with the HIMS Cup, I just do it myself. But like, in general, you're asking is very be more specific question, you know? The numbers can vary on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to have a physical event? Are you trying to only have an online event? Are you trying to have a full broadcast crew? Are you trying to be a one-man crew? So that can change things. And then obviously, like, the public-facing one is prize pool. Like, what is the prize pool big enough to get people's interest? So for a lot of the lads, $75 just to play one series, they don't mind, right? But then you scale it up, you know, like we're quite fortunate because of the system we created that midweek muster works on $300 considering the amount of people that sign up. It's like not that much money when you think about it. That some people could just say it's not worth my time, right? Like that's why Marine Lord, there's no point in him playing because like for Marine Lord, he'd rather just focus on the S tier tournaments where the prize pool is very big. So I don't know if that was the full answer you wanted. But like with show matches, I mean, having $100, $125, probably get most players to jump in on a show match. The tricky one I find with like just individual show matches is like, obviously, you know, some of these guys want to be able to stream it themselves. And it's like, that's awkward because it's almost like you're cannibalizing viewership. Because like, depending on how you pitch sponsors, it's very hard to just go, well, like, you know, this tournament had this combined viewership here, here, and here. So our average, like, per broadcast was, like, 2,000 views. It's not what they're going to see. Like, for a lot of them, what they're going to see is, like, yo, you pitched us this huge viewership, but then your channel generated 400 views. Right? So you can get creative, but the thing about getting creative is that can, like, work, and that can be explained with brand sponsors, endorsers, that already are onboarded into your system. Where that then becomes challenging is when you try to approach new partners. Because the big fancy pitch decks where you reach out works when you have like thousands of viewers average, right? But when you're a few hundred average viewers, there's a big chunk of like the money that's going to come in to fund your channel and fund your tournaments efforts that come through agencies and automated systems where they've already calculated what you're worth based on the public metric available to them, which will be your average viewership across 30 days on Solid Gnome, for example. Yeah, hope that provides some insights. It's never as simple as just like putting a number. Like it always reminds me of like, you know, when people they go, yo, like how much like how much should I spend on a PC? And you go, well, what do you want out of the PC? You know, like I could tell you to spend the moon, but do you need to spend the moon, right? So that's always something to keep in mind. But like I said, for what we created, we kept it very lean. Ideally, what I would have loved to have done is scaled up beyond to be, you know, bigger prize pool and bringing guest casters on the finals day. But like, I just don't have the money for that, really. I'm quite like transparent on this. If we go on like raw earnings of just what Twitch and YouTube makes internally on those platforms, I don't break even each month. So yeah, it's and that's why we start at $300, by the way. When first match start, we're waiting for the lads to get into lobby now. Louis MT is, I think, just about to get home. Yeah, I don't know what Louis was doing, dude. Like, I thought he was already home because he was doing the draft on time. And then, like, 3 or 4 minutes ago, he's like, I'm running home. I'm like, Louis, what? Louis, what are you doing? He's a funny lad sometimes. Is the icon for Safety Bay in there? Wait, did we... Oh. I think it, like, went to that when I tried to find Stiff. I didn't want that. I want Stiff. Yo, what's up, Caladian? 2 years. Almost 2 years. Look at you go. Smart lad using those Prime subs. Appreciate the support. 2 bloody years. And you're still not sick of me. That's suspicious. Oh, by the way, I love how unintentionally I just keep finding this shirt on Fridays now. That's wasn't even planned. We're full pink themed, baby. Alright, I'm going to crack a Red Bull open. Sorry for the delay, guys. What I'll do is I'll run 2 minutes ads now, so we'll be safe when we get into game. Go get yourself a drink, whatnot. The lads should have been ready to start, really. Because both of them thumbs up to start 20 minutes ago. It's purple? It's purpley pink. Why are you judging me? It's weird. I'm the guy in the relationship and I wear more pink than she does. Anyway, 2 minutes. Bro, you can't be real. You actually can't be real this. I'm down to my last 3 Red Bulls, one of each. My guy needs to be bumped on Monday. I'm gonna get a baseball bat out and be like, where my Red Bull? Where my Red Bull? So let me track this back. So I got an amazing package on March 7th. Much like my amazing. No. Then he confirmed I was added to the list 30th of April. Now we're in June. I think I've been bamboozled, man. Sag. Anyone else getting bombarded with Switch 2 ads? I mean, like, of course, they're going to advertise it everywhere. It came out, like, what, yesterday? They should send me one, and then we can play a strategy game and show it off. And that'll be worth it for them, I think, probably. Sorry, I'm just got reading crap in the background. I'm getting like spam. I like how, like, so here's the thing. My kid's asleep. I get some time, sit down, do some work, right? everything is just like so vibrantly chill. There's no issues. There's no attention required. Like people are just getting on. They're not messaging me. The moment that we hit live, everyone and their mum needs a little bit of KP. Oh, KP, help us. Oh, KP, help us. What would you play on Switch 2, KP? I mean, I don't know. I just probably show it off and go, well, guys, that's going to be it. I'm not paying $90 for games. Peace! I'll be like, picking that thing up, like, yo, how do I pirate this, baby? And I never pirate games. I'm definitely not going the right way about getting sponsored by Nintendo. I don't know. Smash? Smash is an obvious one. Mario Kart's alright. I think some people overrate Mario Kart. It's decent, but like people treat it like it's God's gift to the universe. And I'm like, There'll be new Marios as well, new Pokemons. Like, those are the obvious ones. Some Fire Emblem in there. Final Fantasies. Love it when Final Fantasies come out in there. Zeldas are very obvious as well. Dude, I'm still waiting for them, and it's annoying me. I'm still waiting for them to put Wind Waker on a Switch. How is Wind Waker still not on the Switch? God damn it. Give me my favorite Zelda game so I can go back to nostalgia and then realize how much it sucked and how much I was relying on nostalgia. Like, just give that to me. Wait, can you actually, like, here's another check. Can you actually get, like, the Majora's Mask on Switch? I don't think you can, right? Like, what are we doing? They released, like, the 2D ones, right? But not the banger 3D Zeldas? I don't even remember if they put Ocarina of Time on the Switch. Like, put it somewhere, man. And also, let's talk about the Nintendo DS games. Is it finally time? Just give people Nintendogs. Let's be totally real. People are going to eat that crap up. That'll just fly off the shelves. Like, whew. Easy money. Like, you know what I'd actually buy? Even though, like, at the time, like, many fans of the series hated it, and I was with them on it, I understood it. The Might and Magic DS game, where it was almost just like a puzzle chargy thing. It's novel. I'd actually play that on the train when I'm flying places. Virtual Console and Switch. They have like the Nintendo Classics thing, which is like old like N64 and SNES games type things, right? Only give you that game if you're alright with them taking it away from... Hey! And that's why my Switch... Sorry. Definitely not my Switch. That's why my DS has a special card in it that does things. Yes, Anno, you are free to start, my friend. We are eager, excited, and anticipating it. We want to see you get stiff. Get stiffed on stiff. A new Perfect Dark. I actually never played Perfect Dark. Did I miss out? Dude, you know what would be a vibe? Smash Bros. 64 on the Switch. Everyone's like, oh, Smash Bros. Ultimate. Oh, Smash Bros. Like, you know, the GameCube. It's all about Smash Bros. 64 for me. That game was a king. Oh, that's where it all began. The fighting games. Actually, that's not true. It's not where it all began. Where it all began for me was with Street Fighter. Street Fighter 1 and 2 on Sega Mega Drive. I just remembered I hadn't downloaded the map yet. It's very good. It's very thoughtful of Microsoft to get my consent for downloading a stiff. Oh, I wish you could have said that's literally what it said. I'm like, oh, okay. It's a bit personal, isn't it? All right, you guys ready? Hype it up. Let's get predictions online. I'm ready to go because we've done it again. That's right. Have a look at that mini map. Weep, laugh, do whatever you need to. That's how you know it's HIMS time. We are on Stiff, a brand new map to Age of Empires 4, featuring two absolute mad lads. Guys, I saved this for a special occasion. This map design for a match of champions. Anatand and Louis MT, the two unbeaten people in HIMS Cup. So, it made so much sense to see who could beat who on Stiff. Oh, I love this. And look at the way we kick off as well. House of Lancaster versus English is going to be the Civil War. This is a fun matchup, guys, because English actually have looked pretty decent on this map when we're seeing them recently on maps like Receding. But yes, let me introduce you to the map on a wider affair before we get into the players and the civs a bit more. So, designing this map, obviously a little bit more claustrophobic. You start fairly far away. It's not like mountain clearing distance, right? We have 2 sacred sites, so you can't just camp one. And there's some nice spread out, right? You're encouraged to actually go up this thing over here. You do start with the Forgotten Ruins behind your base, and you do have merchant camps towards each other's base in the center. But then you also have plenty more down here. Additional merchant camps, as well as one big wolf den. We instinctively decided one wolf den would be a good idea, because when you see Enlightened Horizon, people divide the map, whereas this is also like something now pretty clutch and cool to see people fighting over. What we like about this, though, like I thought it was really cool that we'd have 4 merchant camps, because if someone does beat you to the punchline of Wolf Den, there's still other things you could have been playing for, so it's not just a complete loss on resources. You can trade out to get something different. And whoa, what do you mean? I don't understand why you guys think there's like something phallic about this map. Okay, it's just like it is simply we done like one of those, you know, those kind of like flap shields. You seen those ones where it's like riot shield type things where it's full body length, but then they had the side flaps. That's what it is. It's just a riot shield. Stop being weird. And well. Looks like we have got Lancaster Castle coming in now. What's interesting is Anasand. Wait, does Louis not know? No, okay, they just split it. So yeah. So I'm not surprised by this, by the way. Neither player went for a spear opening, which is a bit of a shocker for anyone who's watched Point of Interest maps recently, as that is just the be-all, end-all go-to. The thing is, both of these civs disintegrate spears. So you don't want to be the guy that gets forced to go into them. Especially when Anatan in particular is already rushing into the council hall. And wait, is this 2TC? Or is he just up to some... Oh, yo, what? Wait, is this a ball play? Yeah, look at the ball location. That's kind of disgusting. Look at the way it's pinned in the corner. Oh my god, that is like a sick ball placement. He's going to pull it back towards the merchant camp, though. I guess this is so he can always camp it and guard it. And nicely microed. Anatan absorbs all the hits with the scout. Stabs it low. Other side, Louis, we're just going to have a full hunker down mode. He's already gathering the stone necessary for the first manas. I wonder, does he set up the manas on the front? We've seen a lot of players recently against aggro play put the manas behind the Lancaster Castle. The problem with doing that against Lombos, it means they can actually reach in and snipe you on stone and gold. So it actually might be worth it here to just put them between the outcroppings so that Lombos actually get hit when they come in range. Imagine a Roos hunting cabin there. Oh, lordy. Yeah, it was a little bit interesting that Anatan pulled that far away, but to give context, the reason why he didn't just camp here, if he'd actually set up here, a scout comes around here, yeomen shoot over the tree line. He didn't want that risk. No, so guys, like, interesting thing, you know, if you guys like this map and the players like this map, I'm going to bring it back again, and next time, every sequential version of Stiff will be on a larger sized map to show the journey that you can go on if you work with our sponsor HIMS. That's right, guys. We are doing an ED awareness month. So if you are having issues getting it up, if you're not quite like Anatan who can get this longbow count to go very high, then maybe HIMS can help you out. Be sure to check them out. !HIMS in the chat. So Lombo's already arriving. Yeah, this is tricky. And Louis was very greedy. Ooh, just about gets away with it. He's going to be an LB down. Anatan not respecting just how high that Lancaster Castle damage can be. I wonder actually if it would have been worth rushing an outpost on the forward here. Because that would shut... Yo, actually, like an outpost rush is sick here, chat. You drop one here, it blocks both stones. I guess he just didn't feel like it was worth it because the Lombos do it themselves, right? But I think... probably when he's up to about 9 or 10, that's when it can be justifiable. Because once you have 9 or 10 Lombos, that's when the attack speed actually feels like it's worth the wood investment, right? Like, getting a 15% attack speed buffer, when you consider these units cost 90 resources, you spend 100 wood to do that, it makes sense mathematically at 10. Interesting, by the way, that Louis never went for the Forgotten Ruins with the Scout. Wait, has he been trying to take this? This is a lot of walls, by the way. Oh, and that was sick, Anatan. He almost got the decap, but Louis arrived back there just in time. So has got the resource still coming in. Honestly, like I kind of like this picking to Lancaster in general, but also conceptually on this map because of all the merchant camps. It's kind of good at punishing someone for just camping like this. KP, we need more sponsors. KP, let's promote this map. What? This map is on brand. Guys, if like we got NASCAR to sponsor Age of Empires 4, I'd literally design a map that is just a ring. And you play it. You damn well play it. I mean, yeah, these guys do start in the cups, but like if you think about it, you can actually win the game by making your way all the way up the shaft here and capturing both sacred sites. So it's on form, really. So, looks like we're going to be getting a tech up out of Louis, which is to be expected. White Tower, probably not. Do you just King's College into hobbies? I guess he's going to White Tower. Yeah, okay, with that posturing, no doubt about it. It sort of makes sense, right? Like, there's a timing coming. It does feel bad that you can't just greed into hobbies. Like, your opponent only had Lombo so far, but you know there's a ram timing down the line. I'm very curious to see how this one's going to play out. Because, like, the way that Anna's played this, there's not necessarily much runway. He needs damage before he can justify his own tech up now. One ram doesn't feel too threatening, not with the White Tower successfully going up here. I love that Louis already anticipating he's going to need additional men-at-arms. Remember, the Earl's Guard snipe Lombos. It's 6.5 tower range versus 7. So you can easily toss daggers at them. Love this. Louis even prepping Undermesh preemptively. It's quite interesting, actually, because Anatan doesn't even have Steeled Arrow yet. Which makes sense. He hasn't seen anything to shoot yet. So I don't really blame him for that delay. Definitely the right call to prioritize going into the round quicker. So mana already being knocked out. First Guard comes out. Wait, did he use the dagger on the ram? I think he might have. Okay, so Louis may have just jumped the gun a bit there. Was so zealous about the idea of protecting the mana. He's already basically one Guard down. And yeah, he's wasting the daggers, guys. This is not great. Remember, the dagger throws do 1 damage to these rams. Whereas if you toss them at the Lombos, it's going to be 17 damage. Louis. It's not going to be anything else, right? We're not going to be seeing Hobbelars or switch up like that. He's committed to this Guard idea. It does keep him lean, which is important because you only start with 1,600 gold in your base. Yeah, there's a lot of small things at the base here. If you want the big stuff, you really got to climb up this bad boy. Unless he's trying to just decat, take some resources away. But I'm a bit worried for Louis that the count is getting a bit scarily high here. He has at least now got Undermesh. So remember, when he first dove out with that initial Earl's Guard, he was taking double the damage now he is. Anatan, I think he's just going for the Raw Age up, which I like. Okay, there we go. He's going to stop off the Sealed Arrow. But you have to expect Wedge Rivet to be coming. Maybe he thinks there's a small window for him. Now, if Anatan does find his way into Castle Age, are we going to be looking at a White Tower as well? Feels like you're going to need it. The good news for Anatan, at least, is he has got Council Hall, so if he does tech up, Veterancy only takes 30 seconds. The bad news, however, is the Earl's Guard count is already about to hit half of your LB count. And the boys start marching out. Nicely microed. Anatan intentionally dragging the majority away with the ram. Makes this force a lot more digestible. And, I mean, this change here with tech isn't going to matter at all. Remember, he's already been reduced down to 1 damage. He can't be reduced below 1 damage. Dagger throws are starting to come through. Villagers are going to be forced off the ball. The start step does continue. You have to be so on point with the target fire. This is difficult right now for Anatan. Close to being pushed underneath his TC. His wood gathering options are pretty limited off this tree line. Got small baby clusters. And Louis MT, I think he's at that surge point, but this is not going to slow down. Yeah, he can afford to just kind of exchange one-to-one. It sounds good for Anatan, but somewhere in this, he needs to find his way into an age up is the bigger problem. Behind this, Louis MT is already looking to hoover up the relics. Not just that, it's the other time alongside. At least the TC does have a little bit of a punch to it. Problem is with ranged armor too, these guys are well prepped for a dive. So Louis MT does shove his opponent all the way home. Does he continue this commitment underneath the town center though? Because he just allowed his opponent to add an additional 16 shots every 2 or 3 seconds. He's shrinking the count somewhat. I know holding on for the moment, but the bigger problem for Anatan you can see is actually he hasn't gathered the food yet. Wait, has he got anyone left on food? He's got a few somewhere. He has got the merchant camp trickling food, but this is taking ages. Look at the gold right now. Anatan is sitting at 1,200 gold and still hasn't triggered the age up. Guard line is starting to thin a bit. The Louis MT behind this already has 1 relic, likely 2 more to be coming home soon. He hasn't added in additional manas. And Anatan has been losing traction here. Remember, when this began, he was at 33 longbows. Now down to 19. And the difference is Louis MT, yeah, he's taking a hit, but he continues to keep producing while Anatan has put a full stop to it. White Tower now being built. He thinks he's got the space here. He has been scouted doing this, which means you're now not moving your villagers. And here's a crazier thought, folks. In a game where you've got 760 surplus gold, textiles was never on the agenda. And that's because of the food. He couldn't afford the 50. No, he's got idle TC. Like, this is what's making it even worse. White Tower commitment. I mean, he's definitely got enough builders here to complete it if he chooses. The problem is, you're going to be down to, what, 25 villagers, maybe? And he knows it's too much. GG gets called. Earlsguard actually working this time up against the English on this mighty, firmly erected map. Damn, dude. Well played by Louis. We've seen a lot of people actually, like, struggle with that longbow timing. So game number 2 is going to be on Lipony. We'll see how the boys want to line this one up. Well, I'll say, I know what the title is for that. This new map. New map is extra hard. Oh, dude. Oh, man. You know what? This is the way content creation is meant to be done. We mold the scenarios around the content we want. It actually works out nicely because of how tough that was of a breach. Can we see an 8-player generation for this at some point? Probably at the end, yeah. We'll see how deformed the phallic structure looks. But we're waiting for the lads to hop into game 2 now. Draft-wise, we are going to be getting French versus Abbasids. Interesting. Yeah, well, it is Lipony, so if the Abba was going to come out anyway, this makes the most sense. I'm curious if it was expected by Louis, though, because, like, French versus Abba, I don't think it's terrible for French. Iabids versus French is a lot rougher for them. Whereas Abba just don't feel as aggressive with their cameling. Am I wearing lip gloss? Do you really want me to respond the typical way we do? You gotta ask your mum to use a more subtle shade, you know? I mean, like, you try to flame me for using the same thing when you've used the same thing. So, check me too. Team games are awesome to watch and are great for HIMS. Wait, how does that relate to HIMS? Because just like your hairline, the number of players is growing. Wait, no, but the point is your hairline isn't doing that, so we need to help you. Come on. Oh my god. I've got, like, you know one of those little headset hook things? I use that to keep my wire out of the way, and it keeps coming off, and it's driving me nuts right now. Speaking of these nuts, we'll be seeing more of them, don't worry, guys, because with it being a best of 9, we will get to see Stiff at least 2 more times today. Yes. What about hers? Sorry, we Wiener gamers. We know where the focus got to be. 1 second. All right, lads are queuing in now. Did YouTube just have a heart attack? My YouTube graph, I was checking like everything's running correctly. And it just like was like this. And then it just went down to 0. Did we lose connection? That was a bit weird. I think YouTube's baiting me. All right, let's get ready to go. Oh my god, I thought we fixed this. Oh, it's because we've never seen. With the right way around. We need to flip it, don't we? Yarp. Alright, if we can get predictions up, please, mods. Let's get into... Alright, we've returned to some normalcy. One and all, welcome back to the series between Anasand and Louis MT here in HIMS Cup number 6. Our 2 unbeaten champions, but today, one of them's going to get beat. Seems appropriate on ED month. Louis MT with the French playing in the teal is going to be going against Anatand in the yellow as the Abbasids. Abbasids a reasonable pick when you consider we are on good old-fashioned Lipony. Louis' pick of French, though, was he anticipating this? That's what I'm wondering. Because the thing is, like, it makes a lot of sense, I think, to pick French here. I think it can work better against Abbasids than it does Ibids. And there was no Ibid threat in the draft, by the way. It actually got ignored all the way through. And of course, we don't really need to explain why Abbas is good on this map. I'm sure you guys have heard the explanation enough. The berry quantity is so high, it feels really good. Often, you also get more tree lines than Dry Arabia, which means that for a defensive civ, there's more organic terrain to protect you against aggressive civs. You prefer old Lipony? No, dude. So the problem is, as cool as old Lipony could be, the unpredictable nature of it actually made it bad from a competitive design. Unfortunately. These are a little bit more tame. I would be fine with having more and more cliff designs existing in like competitive AoE4. Like cliff design maps, rather. If there was a mechanic to destroy the cliffs over time. Like, not something you could do in a rush. Let's say, you know, a cliff side had 1500 or 2k HP. So it would be a real effort to get through. And Anasand, well, it looks like we are going to be having that full Greek game from the Abbasids. I guess that's to be expected. The question on my mind is whether Louis MT bothers with Pro Scouts or if he just sends it. Considering he's already got the mill, he's gone into the wheelbarrow. Like, with most civs, you'd say, okay, no Pro Scouts. But French, because of how discounted Pro Scouts is, quite often still go for it upon age up. I think it would be a little bit greedy to do here. You know, you could argue that Pro Scouts can still beat 2 free TC. And maybe with standard civs, but Abbasids a little bit more crazy on the timings. And compared to when we last saw Abbasids trying to beat Pro Scouts, it has been heavily crippled. How are those predictions looking? 66% on Louis. Yeah, I'm curious to see how Anatand's going to perform here, because based on what he's been doing in the weeklies at the moment, like, he looked incredibly scary. So, you know, of all the HIMS Cups that we've ran so far, the one that I was expecting could go all the way to a game number 7. This is the one. Oh, sorry, game number 9, rather. This is the one. And sheep rotation has paid off really well, actually, for Louis. Check that. Yeah, we're talking about 16 sheep here compared to Anatand only getting the 7. And he's going to go for a deer shove in. I like this. He's already setting up to drop a TC on the stone, I think. Because, like, when you go eco wing, does it really make sense to only do 2? If he can get away with it, he'd prefer 3. Now, if you have the deer already shoved in your base, there's not as much urgency to, like, do this loose TC that secures a lot. Because your primary is already going to have plenty under it. And, you know, if he does feel pressured, that then just gives him a backup option of TCing here on the other side of the gold. Protects gold, tree line, and then also this food. See, I feel a bit teased with how short some of these new maps end up being. God damn it, I want to go back to Stiff. We might be waiting a while, actually, now that I think about it. Lipony has this habit of going long on games, as does Louis MT and Anatan. Does the sheep interact with a deer? Wait. Does it? Wait, is that actually a thing? Hold on. Surely not. That can't be a thing. I don't think so. I mean, considering he just stopped doing it, right? Because if it did work, why wouldn't he just walk over here to deal with this deer? I guess there's a risk you just donate one sheep. It's so comically weird. Louis probably walking over going, why is there a sheep? Like, what is the goal here? Knight is on the way to try and score a big goal, but Anatan, positioning-wise, maybe a bit greedy here. Just the edge of the TC in range of his primary. Ooh. Wait, was that intentional when Anatan pulled back? That actually drew aggro across away from the TC build, which is ideal. That means the charge now isn't there, which means you can't just get tapped twice and killed on one of the builders. It's going to take 3 hits. Nano already looks to drag it away. Body blocks aren't going to be there at all. So 1 worker kill for Louis. But Anatan does get it up. And that's the most important thing when you're playing HIMS Go. Man, he's got to be super sus, actually, about sheep interaction with deer now. My instincts are that it wouldn't work. Because I feel like in a similar light, that would mean that, like, a neutral boar, if a deer walked nearby, it would freak out and go the other way. And we have got the archer coming in after this. So I wonder if Louis is just going to go for no knights into this archer ram timing to try and deal with TC. I mean, this is the risk of what you do with these type of builds with Bassids. Like, yes, you don't spend much on the villagers, but it's still a big initial investment to get into TC play like this. And Louis did go pro scouts, by the way. Yeah, just couldn't resist the temptation. And I believe he has been just snatching from the new side, which I really like. So 3 deer stacks available to him, 1 for Anno. And remember, Louis also won the sheep game by what I can only describe as a landslide. By the way, I just realized we're, I think, 30 seconds out from live, so let me hit the plus. Oh, wow, okay, only 2 seconds. Scan. You know, I've been wondering if eventually the goal of the devs is to get more civs to be a bit like Abbassids. With the versatility. Right, like if you go into a game as French, when you choose a landmark, you're choosing either a school of cavalry or a chamber of commerce, right? But when you go in a game as Abbassids, it's so different, isn't it? Oh, it could be military wing, or it could be culture wing, or it could be eco wing. I've always liked the idea that eventually AoE4 could get to the stage where we introduce a 3rd landmark choice for each age up. It's impractical though. Like, as cool as it would be, the amount of things you'd have to add in is crazy. Not so crazy is this idea. Abbas is going free TC, a normalcy these days. Designed to light a fire under Louis' butt here. I mean, his opponent's going spears, so this is well crafted. Anatan doesn't have any revelation of archers yet. And that's by design. Louis MT is going to spring the trap now. As he springs into action. We do not have a blacksmith play yet, folks. So there's no ram timing here. In fact, I'm a little bit surprised he revealed himself so willingly, because that now lets Anatan know that he's been counted. New civ that gets free age ups with access to new buildings like KT? Maybe. I think one cool thing I saw, if you guys remember, with the modded civs that got introduced, there was Poland. And Poland was very intriguing because they had 4 landmark options, but depending on when you took them in the game, they done different things. So like there was one that was like half a TC efficiency, so I think it cost like more resource to produce villages out of it and took longer. But if you got it in like Imperial Age, it was basically a Palace of Swabia. And it does get a quick wall up there, nicely done. Didn't get it to full HP, so if Louis wanted, he could try to torch through here, but he would take a bit of damage diving underneath the town center. So shows respect for the time being. We do have Steeled Arrow coming in. This is not Anatan saying it's time to build archers, folks. This is simply because of the town centers. Think about it this way. The secondary town centers, that's now +8 damage on your attack. the primary, that ends up being plus 16 damage on your TC. Isn't that just Ibids? No, because Ibids get choices out of the House of Wisdom. They don't build physical landmarks that have perks attached to them. So it's actually quite different. Oh, he's going big, by the way. Undermesh is on the way. So notice how he's prioritizing the sustainability of his army for the dive. Horseman reaction is now coming through from Anno. And we talked about the limitation of food early on. He's already feeling it. He's on the sheep. He only has 7 left. The berries on the ford are not accessible. The deer... Okay, so the good news actually is Louis MT hasn't come back for these deer yet. So maybe Anatan could sneak out. He's got time now to wall this off. He's definitely going to want to think about it. I mean, free TC, even with the discounts, like, how are you really affording horsemen with no food access? Think for Anno. Ah, he didn't even know. Okay, wow. So this is big, actually, him finding that. Yeah, immediate mill drop. So I'm pretty sure they spawned here. It kind of looks like Louis pushed them in this area. That's not the case. They spawned this close to the edge of the map. That's crazy. Louis MT now with the rotation around the back. There's also a rotation from scouts. So he's going to eyeball this up before the wolves actually get up, which is going to give him a target. You're going to get torches out in the town center, but remember the firearm. With the firearm, this is not a doable target. If Louis MT wants that TC gone, it's going to have to be Rams. It has to be so frustrating when you're like in this position. It feels like it should be really easy to break this. But there's someone just convincing Louis he can't go Rams yet. Scouts do get trapped in, by the way, so they are going to be going to meet their maker. Unless... wait, what? He didn't realize, did he? that is such a scam. If he knew this straight away, Louis could have picked up 3 deer carcasses and ran and been about like here by the time the horsemen arrived. Oh, that's so unfortunate for him. Does at least keep the scouts alive. I mean, for what? The main goal now is to get those deer. There's nothing else on the map. Now we get the farms. I mean, this is... Anatan getting past the most uncomfortable phase. I don't know, I'm getting worried the longer Louis stares like this, every minute that passes is like another 2% pushing in favor of Anatan. So Louis needs his dive point soon. Scouts are already knocking at the wall. And with the amount of knights here, he can break this almost instantly. Right, he'd be able to catch these villagers before they're able to escape. Anatan. Wait, what? No, he got caught trying to build the gate. And thus given access. Now, we do at least have a gate down here. So we will be able to buy a little bit of time, but you're already seeing the steer. The MT is going around the back of one of the knights now. And Anatan now has to idle in the corner with 11 of his villagers, almost half of his eco lead. And the good news is this free TC, so probably worth it just to waste your opponent's time like this. Oh, he agrees. This is ridiculous. What am I looking at in this corner? Now starting to get sniped. The archers were able to reach for a little bit there. Yo, don't stop there. There's room for more walls. Come on. Like, guys, you know, this seems very unrealistic, but I've been to London. I've had to go through the toll booths there. Like, I can tell you this is very realistic. This many checkpoints, you have to pay at all of them as well. It's terrible. Like, I've been actually Stockholm. This is Stockholm. You go island to island, they charge you on every single one. Gates everywhere. LMC though, he's teching. Guildhall's coming in behind this. He does find some worker kills in the end. I love the fact that Anatan doesn't even feel idled here. He could have chosen food. He chose wood. Oh, dear. Louis MT. Does he ever even try to go for that now? I think there's like bigger targets, right? There's only 9 workers down here. Which sounds like a lot, but your opponent's at 80 eco already. And also, think about it this way, right? If it takes you a minute to go kill those villagers, well, your opponent would have built that many villages in that time. So, it's not that good of a deal compared to just diving the primary, killing 3 or 4 villages, and idling like 20. Louis is going to get torches out here. Remember, with the veterancy and the castle age, he actually has higher torch damage to offset the armor. It's not a bad kill point. I think the killer here is going to be the amount of units Anatan's able to bulk up in this time. Remember, he is an age behind. That's the problematic element. And that's the thing I'm kind of scratching my brain on. Like, where is the age up? How does Anatan reach that? He was scared of this fight against feudal archers. Now it's veteran. It's cost him dearly. Villagers move out of the base again. He's not allowed to touch his home tree lines. He has to go find them abroad. How does Anatan have a 30 villager lead and no way of going castle? I mean, it's impressive. I think a lot of players in Louis' position would have been a little bit more reluctant and just backed up and said, whatever, macro game, I guess. But he's done a great job of not overcommitting, biding his time, and essentially starving Anatan. Like, Anatan has 85 workers, has nothing to do with them. All being taken out. Horsemen are going to try to ride out onto the archers, but difficult to do. The spearmen not able to follow suit here. We've got extra knights now sneaking in on the flanks. Very gathering in the center, which he's scoured. Look at this. He sees the orchard effect. So he should know about this. He will have to actively look there, but if he sees it, that's an easy reaping. What has happened in this game, man? 40 spears and you still don't feel anywhere near safe. I'm against 20 knights. Relic's now being targeted by Louis MT. The eco gap is shrinking, folks. Like, this is looking inevitable now. I don't see Anno's answer to these archers. He played mass melee and he's stuck defending his base, guys. That's like a very big problem here. It gives your opponent archer advantage because they can fight out with their whole army much easier than you. Yeah, especially this comp, like Knight plus Archer. Archers because they're ranged, they can attack whatever. And Knights because there's less of them and more damage packed into each. These tight choke points don't hurt them as much. Now, Louis has been pushed out of the base, but not all his troops are here. Second wave of Archers just arrived. Anatan has barely any horsemen left to play with. I'm just 6. Food income has been searched for the moment, but the Knights do find the workers out on the flank there. Got more farms being set up down to the south side. Anatan will not give this one over. Quite rightly so. You don't want to find yourself 2-0 down already. Especially with the volatility of a brand new map. So many freebies as well. Every time Anatan has to step up to posture, archers are taking out like 3, 4, 5 of these spears at a time. I remember, because of the vast reserves of resources on Lipony, you're not going to see Louis run out of resources anytime soon. He has full map control. Like, if this was a game where his opponent had some knights out there, it's problematic. You can't just run out to berries and gold. But in this game, there's nothing to really stop him. We are now seeing that second TC being taken down, rather than third. Anatan's going to be reduced down to a singular TC, where French TCs produce quicker. So has to spring into action and defend it. That just baits him out for the archers to snipe down. Now, in some ways, not ideal. He's only got 9 archers left alive, but that's actually perfect up against these spears. Remember, each of these archers, it does 16 damage. So more than enough between them to deal with a 90 HP unit. He didn't go for the ball. This is crazy. I mean, the way that Louis is out of the map, you'd sometimes just expect him to still be feudal with like, oh, wow, he needs to be desperate to keep the count up. No, this is just miles ahead. That's going to be even more so. He's gathering the stone. I would be fully on board with a keep drop in the enemy base to just end this game. It'll probably just be built at home for safety. And yeah, it's just going to be there for the discounts. Louis! Has he not... Did he forget to produce villagers? I thought his count was a little bit higher than this. I guess not. I know it hasn't touched gold for more than 5 minutes. I think he's going to need to touch grass after this one. Breathe himself back into the world. So I guess we're just going to have to buffer batters again, chat. Pro Scouts nerfed. French technically nerfed. New season where batters could have been struck. They still just can't get wins. And that's going to be the case here. GG gets called. Despite his shenanigans, the way he hid all his resources, in the end, Anatan just found himself stuck in the mud with a good old eco-wing build. I don't know, that was kind of funny for the things in the corner, but then became a little bit depressing to watch. Just like, he couldn't do anything. But like, I don't know, expected outcome, right? Like French, they may not be S tier, but I think they're like low A tier, maybe high B tier. Whereas Abba is just a giant Lishrug. Like, what do you do with those guys? So we are going to be going back to Stiff, as I know you guys love it there. And we're going to be looking at... Let's have a look. The boys are about to pick. What do you think we're going to get, chat? We're going back to our new map. What seems likely here? I'm stroking my chinny chin chin.
Tomorrow and the day.
Whoa. All right, I had a Twitch channel open in the background. Whoops. Very loudly. Jeez. Don't know why it wasn't playing there. I was like, wait, what's this window? You know when it's like it doesn't play by default? You click on it like, huh? Ooh. We are getting Knights Templar versus Mongols. Now that is interesting. Knights Templar on this map. Yeah, because I guess you can kind of like camp it, right? Like if you're control center, you just have free access. But the Mongols, we talked about the fact you get those forgotten ruins behind your base. It's not like super cheesy, like, hey, I've got 5 of these, look at all this stone gen. It's only 1. But it's very safe. It's super close to your TC. So it's not an issue. It's not annoying to try and reach. It's pretty chill and simple. Yeah. I mean, I like the Mongols. I think for Knights Templar, maybe one of the tricky things for a lot of civs on this map is the smaller tree lines that we saw for the English in the first game. That's not a problem that you're going to have when you play KT. Yeah, I think he's kind of cooking with this pick. All right, let's get ready to go. Let's get predictions up as well. And let's get stiff. That is an absurd amount of sheep right at your base. One and all, welcome back to the brand spanking new map. It's time to get stiff. That's right, we are on Kayu's newest creation here for the HIMS Cup weekly show matches. Louis MT with the Mongols going up against Anatan on Knights Templar. You heard me correctly. In a tournament series, KT did not get banned. A rare sight. In fairness, there's no water in this tournament. So it does make sense why it would be allowed through. Pretty interesting picks, actually. Both of these civs have some value. For a start, Knights Templar are subtly quite good at doing Rax Rush plays because of like the ease of getting onto wood, chopping in, and balancing out the cost of food wood on Spearmen. The other interesting thing is you want to do this. The merchant camps drive you to do this. These 4 points of interest that give you extra resources per minute. And then the Mongols on the other side from Louis makes a lot of sense also. There's a Forgotten Ruins behind your base that would allow you to generate stone. Valuable to Mongols considering they aren't like most civs that just use it for arrow slits or TCs. You do many things. Like producing many spears. I do quite like Knights Templar on this map, by the way. The other thing with Stiff is you're seeing the tree lines are very small. Yeah, just a little bit of bushel, something trying to pierce through. A little bit annoying for certain civs in the game where you're going to have to lumber camp and lumber camp and lumber camp. But obviously with Knights Templar, you don't have to buy lumber camps at all. Well, guys, why are you being weird about the map? Like, it's just the map. Look, guys, you're having one of those weird Rorschach test reactions again. You know, like you're seeing shapes that don't really exist. This right here is just one of those like rockets with the gliders on the side, you know? Now you can even see like, yeah, look at this little divot here. You can even see the third glider from the other angle. Get your mind out of the gutter. The spear spam underway. It is just going to start linearly on the merchant camps close, which makes sense. Like, yes, you could try to just split them, but why would you want to run further away? Because your opponent will just snatch your merchant camp, right? So I'm expecting a little bit of a stare down between these two with that detail in mind. And predictions, how are we looking? 50-50. I like that. I'm hoping we get some depth, because we've had one game on this map so far, and it was, it was a little bit stompy. I had a little bit of length to it, as quite right that you should and stuff. But didn't really have that back and forth dynamic we were hoping for. I think this matchup can achieve that, by the way. Mongols aren't completely powerless against Knights Templar. They are if they play complacently. If there's no pressure coming, then yeah, you're just going to die. Like, Knights Templar economy is better. But on this map design, there's definitely an opportunity to be pressure-oriented. I'm already seeing Louis try to leverage that. He's going to take the merchant camp away from Anatan. So economical advantage now for Louis. Anno, not liking this all of a sudden for him. I mean, despite that good gathering rate, by getting food alongside getting wood, it's not mattering here. Yeah, he just can't keep up the pacing. And it's not even with the Forgotten Ruins. That's the crazy part, by the way. Louis didn't move a villager out to the stone yet. He does that. It's even easier to just get the pump higher than your opponent on spears. And oh my god, these two are getting ridiculous. Louis, come on. He's shoving with the gar. That's so tight. Last game we had a suspected deer shove with a sheep. This time it's the gar. Oh, this is brilliant. Love what Anatan done here, by the way. Realized what he was conceding. Didn't waste more time on it. He's going to go for the age up. He rushes to the merchant camps on the other side of the map, knowing that he cannot beat Louis MT's spear count here anymore. Yeah, Deerstone, pretty obvious. Remember, this map doesn't come with any trade points. So Silver Tree would be redundant. I do think we balanced out the relic situation quite nicely. Because after receding, where only two map relics were there by default, 3 were hidden in the Forgotten Ruins. I like the idea of the ruins, I just didn't like how much it was keeping off the map. This is the type of map design where I could actually see fast castling civs having some viability. Because 3 relics is usually kind of the sweet spot where it starts to feel good. And in fairness, the 4th relic is very easy to get. Right? You keep 1, essentially, borderline in your base. Wait, he's shoving the other... So Louis MT in a rush on Stiff to grab all the meat. A lot of spearmen as well. I'm a little bit worried, actually, for Anatan that he might get pinned in. He's got backup gold options, so it's not like he doesn't have access if he plays this right. I don't know, it just feels a little bit weird whenever you get stuck in a spear battle against like what's considered a superior force. I get why Anatan done it. Now he's going to be able to strike back though. We've got archers on the way. LuMT probably thinking about Keshiks here. No, dude, he just goes straight archers. See? Everyone sees different things. I saw the rocket, Murad sees the fidget spinner. Okay, so I kind of dig the idea of a fidget spinner map for freeway freefall. Just realized how awkward it is saying the word freeway while having this map in the bottom right corner. But pilgrims, they're on the way to climb up this long, arduous path that's been carved for them. LuMT will have early eyeballs on though. But nice. Anatan wasn't greedy, I like that. He'll be able to get in before he gets sniped here. If he'd gone for the far one, it's way too risky. I know. He does have the archer advantage. This is where it gets interesting. So he struggled to keep pace on the spear count against Louis. But the archer count is where you could easily see Anatan keeping the lead. Remember, it's raw wood. That's really all you need. 30 food, 50 wood. So it being primarily wood where you're the best wood gathering civ in the game, it's understandable that you can actually outpace double production archers. I wouldn't want it featured in EGC tournaments. It would be bad publicly for AoE4. I really don't think it would be that bad. That's like an over-dramatization. That's like going, oh my god, this map's existence is going to end the world. Everyone's going to look at the monitor and all of a sudden just feel this overwhelming need to dry hump the screen. Like, chill, guys, chill. Boulder Bay literally made it into game release. Do you really want to talk about this anymore? The important thing is it got you guys talking about what matters. Exclamation mark, HIMS. Most importantly, Anatan looking pretty cozy on his timing here. Steel Arrow already coming in. He snatches the merchant camps away. Yeah, only one now accessible to Louis. He's playing a lot of his army out on that far side of the map still. Yamor is going to make it a little bit tricky. Now, someone that is missing the Khan Hunter could be pretty handy here, but Louis doesn't have it. And what is up, X-Lav? I'll happily have that raid. Thank you very much. Welcome back to HIMS Cup. There are parents that buy AoE4 for their children? Do they? Microsoft likes to keep the child-friendly-ish rating on their game. But I wouldn't say many parents are buying Age of Empires 4 for their children. Like, dog, you're making us out to be Fortnite here. Last I checked, this game doesn't let you dab. We'll do a dance. Archer's pushing in. Problem is he's wasting time on the spears. Yeah, Anatan is still just raw archers. No switch and Chevalier coming. So Louis MT gets a good strike back here. Needed it this way as well because it's about to get very difficult. Undermesh and Steel Arrow is there. So what looked like a good start here is about to turn abysmal for Louis MT. Even on the defensive, he's missing key technologies to fight back against this. Yeah, and you're seeing him start to get wiped here. They're neck and neck on Archer count. The more are quickly on the way for Anatan. The lead now starting to grow. It gets even rougher when the numbers get small like this. You're seeing it just takes so long to just kill one Archer. Yeah, that's wasteful there, right? That last 12 health, he had, what, 6, 7 Archers attack that one target. Now able to take that final merchant camp away on the south side, but credit to Louis, he has at least kept the spears up here to maintain control here. So that's giving a slight eco edge. And we are now going to see him fix the Steel Arrow issue. Awkward thing is he's very close to being at that threshold where you can't produce. What I mean by that is this Archer count. When it gets too far ahead, you have to abandon ship on the production area. And this is why Mongols suck at defending. Early game, mid game, even late game, unless you're hyper late, they don't like doing it. The reason why in the early game in particular is your production is nowhere near your base. If you think about the way that Anatan's done this, how do you stop him producing troops and getting them safely to his army? Meanwhile, you're a whole screen away from a TC. Ooh, nice grab. Just the perfect amount of spears to pin him in. Both of them did bring archers. I love that Anatan just shrugs that back archer and says, okay, the spears are more important to go. Especially with the health bar on his limited spears. So pretty good trade out there, Fano. And he is trading long now, so Pilgrims are giving maximum gold. They're working their way all the way up the shaft. Attack speed arrow. I know. He's starting to stand his ground a bit here because the funny thing is Undermesh still isn't there. We'll back up temporarily here, but the gold is starting to accrue. I wonder, Anatan, yeah, he's moved down to the deer. His food gathering rates were a little bit weak, but if he pads himself like this, he's even got berries as a backup option. I could see a world in which he tries to trend towards castle. Not immediately, but like, you know, that gradual, oh, I've already built a lead, I'm winning the fights. I don't need to stay here forever type feeling. So maybe to attack by 16, 17 minutes. For the time being, he might want to consider some sort of extra layer to the cake. Usually Chevalier can work quite nicely in this comp. Even though Mongols seem superior, it's the cost efficiency. Like, the role isn't for Chevalier to kill, just absorb. I'm going to say when my wife asked me what I'd done today. Joke's on you, I don't have a wife. I will say that I done a lot of hard work Just like Anatan and Louis, when they see the loved ones on the weekend, they ask what they were doing. They're saying they worked very hard on a Friday. Takeshi's revealed themselves. Anatan, maybe a little bit aggressive stepping up like this. He's going to have to retreat, but a good trade now for Louis. Things were starting to get worrisome, but he's able to now take the Archer lead. And thrust forward further. And it's partially because of this. Like, the control on the north side is maintained on those merchant camps, but finally the spears are denying that. So extra resources removed from Louis' pocket. Pack speed arrow is going to get activated. Anatan has to retreat fully out of range. Gathering on the front side. Oh my. Yeah, he came for the trees. Did he already... Yeah, he already took practically all of his safe back trees. This is worrisome. Louis MT back on the offensive and an opportunity to now pin Anatan in the base in a decisive way. Pilgrim's also just now getting denied. He's got a stranglehold on him. We also have to remember that Anatan is risking eco out here on the food. That's not known about just yet. But if Louis starts to sense it, it's an easy target. An obvious one, somewhat. But now he's going to show some respect. So we'll retreat from the base. I think Anatan is maybe just going to look to pull the trigger now. Like, you can't feel like you can just win Archer massing now, right? I guess you just want out of the age. Both of them are actually beginning to stockpile a little here. And Louis, he finds him. Anatan out on the deer. Will be forced all the way back home. In fact, he just... All right, that's a GG. There you go. Keshik so OP, they kill 8 villagers at once. He deletes them instead of allowing the Mongol to take another Templar soul. Damn. Wasn't expecting the delete. That was quick. Yeah, I think it's like... I mean, we talked about this. Whenever you have new maps, you kind of get this to a certain degree. Players need to feel it out, especially Stiff. But... I think with that matchup as well, because like there is an element of like the resources in the base, you're fairly pinned, right? I wonder if maybe a change we need to make, Caillou, is the back of their base should have thick tree lines. Wait. Ooh. It might make it lose its identity, but like I kind of think I know what I'd like to see with a Caillou. I just don't know how feasible it is with the way that the map design tools work. So I think what would be really cool is if you could have tubes down there. Yeah, so if you could have like a very thin path through the mountains that leads to the end of the map, you know what I mean? That would be a sick design. Yo, what's up, Ufasa? Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate the prime resub. Welcome back to the Swarm. So then, like, the idea is that like, if things go really rough, you have a way out. I mean, someone could wall it off, but it's so far away from your base, it would be tough. So Dry Arabia is up next. We have got Marlene versus Jean. Finally a matchup that might go well for him. Hope so. I'd hate to see this just be a complete wash of a 5-0. You need your visual stim? Oh, no. Here we go. Okay. I can't do it right now. The boys are hopping in. And I quickly need to open the door because it's so hot. Holy crap. This weather, I swear. Whew. Oh, we need to hide Stiff again, don't we? On to Dry Arabia we go. Let's get predictions up. Please, moderators. One and all, this is becoming quite brutal. Welcome back to the channel for Anatan versus Louis MT. Or Louis MT versus Doormat right now. Anatan, despite his best efforts, has been walked over constantly by Louis MT in this series. 3-0 lead already for the Chinese prodigy. Can we get a strike back here? It's the best of 9. 2 more games and Louis will have won it all. And Oh, Anatan. Maybe this is where it can begin. Dry Arabia, pure and simple. Malians up against Jean. Malians has some potential here, right? Like, they can definitely be an absolute nuisance for Jean. Their comp overall is very good at sniping Jean, even as the game goes on, right? Jav, Donzo's at the core of it early on, and then moving into more of like a poison arrow type approach later on with Donzo's on Lucified to assist. So you can actually tick a lot of the boxes. I find also quite often when John players go for range, John, it makes you feel a lot better as a Malian player, right? Like an easier capability to snipe off of Jav spam. Look at the spawn. Definitely one where Pro Scouts is going to feel, I want to say, mandatory for Jean. Look at the deer. They're so far forward. Same for Anatan, but remember, Anatan, if he doesn't want to play Pro Scouts, does have a backup option. There is always the sweet, sweet embrace of Cal. And thank you, moderators. So predictions now up. Get them in. If you're watching this later, dude, like, even if you're watching later, just drop a prediction on what you think is going to happen here. Be aggressive about it in the comments. All caps, type it. I know. I guess we're probably getting Pro Scouts. For a while, Anatan was having a few games where he was doing this like Malian 2-scout opener. Because something that got kind of slept on is like the scouts got buffed on their production speed a while back, and that especially impacted the Malians productively. Look at the time it takes to produce a scout here. Vanguard scout takes 14 seconds, but for other civs, they're taking 23. Huge difference. And I've seen this before. It's the Saharan Trade Network build. Oh, this is about the deer. Yeah, this is about the deer. If Louis realizes it and lames the deer, you're not going to get it in. It's going to secure his gold either way, which is nice. We've seen Anatan use this type of opening before to go 2TC. I'd be very surprised if he does it here against Jean. But all of a sudden, like an XP-oriented fighting unit is going to have a hard time getting that fight. As if he does get these deer in, it secures everything. Louis, he does come back around. He scouts it early. Good read. So there we go. Immediate response is on point. He takes out the deer. Okay, and Anatan has no clue this is happening right now. And he is most definitely not going to be happy about it. Meanwhile, look at the macro. Now that he knows it's Saharan Trade Network, I think maybe Louis just rushes Pro Scouts. Like, what's the value of one night here now that your opponent's done this? You know you're going to take a lot of damage even trying to dive. Reminder that the Saharan Trade Network course is just a giant outpost with emplacements already there. Room for 10 workers. It does also have this interesting perk of unlocking javelin emplacements instead that are more impactful against archers. Now, the funny thing is, it gives you those emplacements to buy on normal outposts for just gold. In this matchup, I wouldn't really expect it to come out, but it is a cool, quirky detail. I like that they tried to give this landmark a bit more identity, even if in the end, it hasn't really flourished that way. All right, Gambaholics, what did we get in the end? 50-50 split. Yeah, I think I like tracks at the moment. There was definitely a time where I think playing Jean here was just horrific. Before the Pro Scouts meta, I think like it was very difficult to actually breach Marlins quick enough. You felt like you needed to. Like, how are you going to scale as Jean? It's always the good old classic 2TC, but does that ever truly feel good to do? I just realized we're like 30 seconds out from live, aren't we? I'll take advantage of that. Don't mind if I do. Oh no, Freya's here. No. Go to mummy, Freya. You can't sit on Daddy's lap today. You'll kill him. That wasn't me fat shaming my daughter. She will legitimately bleed me out. Yo, wait, what? We're getting 2TC. Okay, I've got a smile on my face now. Last time we saw Anatan do this, it wasn't about 2TC. If you guys remember that game in the KPMMs, the idea was just to protect the deer from his opponent. But this is going to be the 2TC blob. So he's putting the ball in Louis MT's court and saying, take a shot. It's going to be difficult to do now, this town center. The deer are mostly close enough as well to make it awkward for the knight to get in. Might actually be worth Anatan just investing in an outpost here to guarantee that like the deer can't easily be snatched away. Instead, I'm going to just rush in the Donzos. which is reasonable. Like, he knows it's knights. He knows there's going to be scouts. That he can also throw javelins out that do a lot of damage. Louis is doing the correct call straight into the archers. I think something I've been enjoying about Louis, and we saw it in the Abasa game, he's really good at finessing his way into these archer timings, right? Like, a lot of players, when they play French, they become a bit fixated on their knight count overall. But with Louis, I've noticed that he's willing to just completely pause knight production without hesitation. Louis has already got the first tiers coming home. So in terms of what remains here, it's 5, right? Sorry, 6. Yeah, so he only lost 1 so far, and he's going to go for the outpost. This is smart. The logic is the Donzos will definitely protect you, but now those archers we talked about, like, you need a solution. And the outposts are a weird form of javelin, but it works. Mathematically, it's actually a decent deal. A javelin would cost you 120 resources. The outpost plus the emplacement is going to be 175 resources. But a javelin has 70 HP, while a tall outpost has 750 HP. Doesn't seem fair on javelins when you put it that way. There we go. It's already on the way. Another thing is, remember, the range on it is pretty damn good. I think it's plus 4 damage, if I remember correctly, as well from attacking range targets. I still want to see Burgundy in the game so badly. I don't know. Every time I watch French and I see Jean, I'm like, man, I just want the third French Civ. Let's get some Burgundians in there. Not sure what we give them, though. Kind of comical, because like, I would have thought they could have been the Castle Age hand cannoneers with Burgundian imports. But we already have that for Lancaster. Which, like, aligns. It makes sense, right? The time Lancaster was prominent, the Burgundians were allied with them against the French. Yeah, he did get arrested. So here's the range on the stats on these guys. It's 12 damage on a javelin shot. It's pretty damn good. With 8 tar range as well. And remember, that's just base. If they attack into an archer, it's going to be 16 damage. So you're able to kill archers in 5 hits. Imagine the outrage at a French Civ. Right? French, like, full French Civil War. Like, I don't know which one I'm meant to play. Now, my feelings is, like, we'll still get variant Civs in the future, but there's probably going to be a big onus on just new Civ designs. I think maybe especially after, like, some of the responses where... I don't want to say people were disappointed. I think in the end, people acted like they were going to be disappointed with Knights and Cross and Roses, and then they saw what they got, and they were actually quite happy. But there was that initial backlash where people were like, why are we getting variants? I'm glad the devs were able to show just how different variant can be. Because I can understand from the community side why there was maybe some reluctance when they heard variant, that they weren't going to get good bang for buck. Spoiler alert, I think we definitely did. Interesting from Anatan, by the way. Yeah, so he didn't go into pro scouts at all, right? Like, this is simply just to try and block the scout play, but sick read by Louis. He sent the archers ahead. So we were to guard and return the goodies. Knight count is slowly scaling. I think Louis is realizing he's maybe a bit over leveraged now into archer count. And Anastan's looking to exploit that now with the arrival of javelins. Variants are the excuse to release new civs without all new assets? Exactly. But, well, the argument with that, I'd say, is there is a fair point that some of the earlier ones, it was less so, right? Like, Shushi versus China, they are very different as the game goes on. But I think to your average player, they seem very similar in the beginnings. Now, to a pro, they'll tell you no. There's clear differences. But for your casual audience member, they'll see Shushi, they'll see Chinese. And that clearly proves they're all racist now. It's just the way they fundamentally play, right, around the IOs. I think like that was probably where they could have made Shushi in China very different, is the supervision, the imperial officials, doing something strictly wholly different. That's how I think you make variant civs completely different to their originator. Is you make the core design function around something the original civ doesn't. That's why, even though Jean is outside of herself the same civ almost as French, it's kind of what they were leaning for, where like, yes, this is the key point about the civ, and it's completely different, which I liked. And I'm pretty hyped for the changes they're going to be bringing in the upcoming months for Jean. So tech up's now going to be coming in from Louis. Anatan has been blobbing quite a bit. He has not been adding in the cows, but that's to be expected. Remember, he's 2 TC. He's just been eating them. And with the amount of javelins he's got, I mean, Karimba makes a lot of sense here. You know, Fulani would be a bit over the top in terms of greed. Like, right now he's playing 2 TC, and he'd have to rush castle with it. It doesn't feel logical. Guildhall for Louis is just him guaranteeing that the game doesn't have to end here based on the outcome of one fight. I think it makes a lot of sense, in particular with Jean, with the way she utilizes discounts to Master Arbitrary later in the game. It means you can very easily just keep infinite gold pump going in a way that your counterpart French quite often can't. Quite like the idea behind KT with guarding the Pilgrims and asking for European reinforcements. Exactly. Like, it has a lot of identity. I think Lancaster also, like, Lancaster has the coolest units introduced. It's just the economical design is left a bit wanting. I would be curious about another African civ, actually. Farimba, the obvious choice now on the way. Those Javelineers are going to be prime target. Lunacy's definitely given him plenty of reasons. You know, the Javelineers will be a decent answer against the Knights, especially at this count, and then obviously a direct counter into the Archers. Yeah, I'm wondering like what the most obvious ones are outside of what we talk often about of just going with new civs being Spain, Portugal, and South American civs. I would love to find another African civ that makes sense to rep in the game. That's a little bit of poke. Lou MT learns his lesson quick, just backs away. Also awkward because Jean is still not leveled up. Yeah, only halfway towards level 3. This is uncomfortable. This is where melee Jean feels a bit of a womp-womp. But, you know, you couldn't really build the jabs instead. Ethiopia is definitely the one I keep thinking of in my head. I'm just trying to think if there's like, literally any other alternative that would be good for the time period as well. Like Ethiopia, and maybe make them, is it Coptic? I always forget the name of their religion. Coptic Orthodox, right? Yo, could you imagine giving an African civ warrior the warrior monks? Was it Coptic Christians? I thought it was East, like the Eastern faith. I could have sworn they were Orthodox. Or like a deviation. I mean, I guess you could argue Orthodox and Christianity are deviations anyway. Or, sorry, a variance. Outpost going up. A little bit of poke damage coming in there. Louis MT not really reacting. Finally realizes what is up. I'll tell you what's really up. The eco count at this stage. Look at that. Anatan. The first time in this series looking alive, I think it would be fair to say. Might want to think about adding just a few more Donzos in, or even just Sofas. Like something to just absorb as a front line. And also a big blocker to what you really need here is Louis, right? The gold is what makes the world go round. I wonder if Knights is maybe baiting him, though, over some, like, Horsemen. Because, like, right now, the big problem for Louis is, how do you get on top and stay on top? Like, how do you actually surround this many Javelins? I think he hasn't answered. Villages are going to be safe, but at this point, Louis MT has got... Is that half of his full population in the corner? It is. It's getting kind of ridiculous. We'll be safe for the time being, but behind this, relics are now being targeted by both players. Louis has taken an early lead, but map control is now very questionable. I like that he just uses the Knights to peel reinforcements. It's the only thing he can really do right now. It'd be too difficult to dive directly into the jabs, and in fairness to him, he did force Anatan to come all the way back from the brink there. He was getting ready to hit that back corner when these knights started to arrive. They didn't think twice. And I think Anatan, he doesn't mind thinking twice here. We have to remember he's got a continuously scaling eco lead to TC play. African chiefs are surely Morocco and Mamluks. I mean, Mamluks are kind of already represented, aren't they? With, like, the Ibids is the idea. Morocco could be intriguing. I'm trying to think, like, what you could find historically to use there. To give them their full identity. But Morocco was definitely a big player in that time. At least for the African civs. Would be really cool for a Morocco, like, Portuguese campaign, actually. I'd love to see that. I think he's done a good job of keeping up, by the way. And we did just see him getting into the ordnance companies, so things are getting a lot cheaper now. So this has remaining lean. Absolutely needed as well, considering we're talking about a 45 worker lead, and look at what Anatan's up to. He's macroing for Imperial Age, which is pretty crazy here, actually. So is this going to be Javelinies plus Freeborn? I mean, you don't really want to be doing Mansa Musa fighting into archers. Then again, it would destroy the knights. I'm going to go and throw it out on a whim and say it's probably Freeborn. If it was going to be the Mansa Musafadi, he'd probably already be prepping the veterancy tech. Another thing is, like, in fairness to Anatan, he doesn't need to get anything there. You know, we often hype up, like, this Farimba timing, and you just get into a new unit type, but sometimes it's so much more powerful, infinitely more powerful, to not choose anything. Yeah, the lack of no choice is better than actual choice. It's the threat. And I've got a psychopath called Freya next to me. Hi, Freya. Go play with Mummy. All right. Yell by stream. Say it now, quick. Say it, quick. You're not getting on Daddy's lap. You can't, Freya. You'll hurt me. All right, go play. Bye-bye. She's being shy.
Hello. I see you later.
All right, see you later. Bless her. Little old Frey. Okay, so Tech now complete. What's Louis' reaction? We've got a guild hall that hasn't really had time to mature. It's only got 1,200 food in it. Top of that, your opponent is doing a good job of making sure there's no backstab, flank attack opportunities. The walls are already up. Like, actually, it's kind of comical. In a game against Louis, if I told you to identify the players, Anatan and Louis here, I feel like 70% of people would actually list yellow as Louis. Actually, higher than that. Probably 85%. Louis. Unfortunately for him, I think that's what I give Anatan on his probability to win this game currently. Javelin is now poking in. The elite techs are coming through in just a few seconds, folks. The Knights are going to search for 26 of them in total. The Javelineers are not easy to catch, and now they pack quite the sting. Look at that damage. He has precision training. He's up to 18 damage per strike. Red Palace now to be rushed up as Louis tries to mirror the age up. It's the only opportunity he's going to get, but it does mean he's got the brute force of his army. Javelineers is going to dive past. They go straight after John. An interesting choice being made there, actually. I guess he doesn't want to have to risk level 4 Jean. We will have to level up in terms of Imperial. He's going to have to deal with that. Louis actually doing a surprisingly good job of fighting into this. I mean, considering this was elite plus precision training, this fight shouldn't have even been this close. But it came at a heavy price. Louis is now down to just 7 knights. His opponent still has 30 of the Javelineers to play with. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Anatan maybe starting to switch up into something such as Sofa in the coming minutes. The opening play, after what he just saw, he's going to kick it off with a trebuchet. Do you think chat is akin to an imaginary friend to her? I don't know. It's a little bit of a weird one. Like, even when I'm not streaming, she'll come in and yell buy stream. I don't... Like, okay, I'm going to break your hearts. I don't think it's as much about you as it is about, like, daddy's approval, if that makes sense. Like, she sees it makes me smile, and she's like, yeah. So we'll see how that develops. I mean, it's okay to have an imaginary friend. I had to have one. Anyway, castle drop coming in. The wall not quite up, but whoa, that draws attention beautifully. Okay, so Anatan is going to lose a few workers, but that's fine. It makes sure that he's not going to be backstabbed here. And he will still get the castle up in the end anyway. So a good little bit of chip damage, but remember, Anatan had such an extensive worker lead. It's a bit of a shrug. Nice. They'll finally be able to find a fight they can win against Japanese. I love this. We've actually got silk bowstrings being rushed by Louis. It is a bit ballsy to use archers in the jabs, but something that's always been a problem with javelins in general, right? It's like once you get past feudal age, their attack speed being worse tends to hurt them. When you get into really big fights, it's not as important necessarily that you do a lot of damage in an attack as it can be the attack speed. Because the problem here is, like, often what's going to happen is when your armies are very big, you're going to be targeting the same unit with a ridiculous quantity of units, which means you overkill constantly. Let's see if it does pay off. It's almost complete. That's going to give him the mirrored range. But bombards have now arrived. Anatan goes straight after the primary TC. Yeah, he's ignoring the red palace entirely. Old choice. Incendiary arrow is also now queued up by Louis, so clearly not willing to fight just yet. And he's double bomber. Second one is on the way. Yeah, Anatan doesn't want to risk it. I mean, he understands that as we get deeper in this game, that's the territory that has historically favored Louis against most opponents. It's actually where Louis looks most scary. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think Louis is one of those players that really tried to focus on what he could do and figure out in the late game over optimizing early game. It's kind of polar opposite to what most players do when they start playing competitively. John taking a lot of damage. Javelin's going to take her out. Divine Restoration's not going to change that. Bombards, they've almost cleared the TC. Archer's going to stand their ground against this. The Horseman Knights try to ride in, but the Donzo count just good enough to keep them all at bay. So wipes most of the Knights, as well as the Horsemen. Not enough really left to take out the Bombards. Javelins are having a front line against this, but it's now worth it. The Bombards can basically one-hit these Archers and wipe the primary force and wipe that smirk from Louis' face because it's happened, folks. This is breakpoint. Anatan is going to do it. Our worries about a 5-0 annihilation are removed. TC repair crew is going to come in, but at this stage with double bomber, there's no hope there. GG called. Anachad was starting to look a little bit underwhelming. I'm sorry, that was a terrible pun. But finally, he reminds us of his capabilities as a pro. He's on the board. God, that was a terrible pun. Underwhelming. I hate myself. So, we now head back to your favorite map. Stiff is going to be returning for the third time the series for game number 5. What will we be seeing now? Either Order of the Dragon or Ottomans, I think, from Louis. Anatan has to be thinking, what, Japan or China? Because, like, the thing is with the merchant camps, can you really ignore them? And if you can't ignore them, you don't want to really pick Byzantines. I guess the problem for Louis is, like, do you really want to be trying to take merchant camps with Order of the Dragon spearmen? So probably, like, Ottomans just makes a lot of sense, I think, for Stiff. So probably Ottomans versus Japanese or Ottomans versus Chinese would be my guess. All right, moment of truth incoming. I'm reminded, by the way, after the 6th game, if we do not have a winner in the HIMS Cup, we will have a redraft. And it is going to be Japan Ottomans. Okay, so like this matchup is really scary for Japan historically. Because the meta can just destroy you. I think it's a little bit closer now with these new Japanese Dark Age Spearman builds. They're a little bit stronger there. And there is a potential to snowball because of the design of the map with all of the merchant camps. Woodlines seem really annoying for autos. In what way? Well, because they have to move lumber camp a lot. But, like, Japan has that same problem. You could get some value out of Kura Storehouse wedged between two, though. Dark Age Bannerman incoming? Whoa. Yeah, you can actually, because you've got the Forgotten Ruins behind your base. So if you garrison early, you could rush that. You could have your Katana Bannerman out by 5 minutes in Dark Age, which, like, on the design of that map, it's not uncommon to see people still in Dark Age at 5 minutes. Alright, so we're just waiting for the boys to get into lobby now. Just double checking something. Yeah, what is up with that on YouTube? I just noticed that. Like, for the category of game, it doesn't even register like Age of Empires. Like, Age of Empires 4 doesn't have a logo? Is that right? Why? That's a bit weird. First category, for some reason, it doesn't have a logo. I just noticed that. I'm like, huh? But it's been a few years.
There is an estimated 32.
Oh my god, ads. Yeah, it doesn't. That's weird. I'll look into that afterwards. Alright, let's get ready to roll. Get those predickies up. Sorry, I didn't mean to say predickies. Anyway. And in we go. That's right. Anatan has done it. Can you believe it? It's finally happening, guys. One and all, Anatan is here to play. He erects himself a racks at the beginning of game number 5 with the Japanese to contest Louis MT on the most beastly of point of interest civs. It's going to be Ottomans in the pink here on Stiff. That's right. Our brand spanking new map for HIMS Cup number 6. A map where you have got plenty of reason to climb all the way up there. Merchant camps up and down the map. Wolf dens as well. Not to mention later on the relics and the sacred sites. But you start in a corner, nicely condensed with food, small tree lines in reserve. Someone else is pretty cool here, and that's exactly what Anatan wants. The Forgotten Ruins. Yeah, this is cool. So Japan has something a little bit broken, guys. Something that most people forget about. Because you rarely see it. On a map where the Dark Age lasts a long time, the Katana Bannerman is quite a broken detail. We saw it before. The stats on this guy, if he comes out in Dark Age, is ludicrous for just a singular unit. We'll see if Anatan's able to drag out the Dark Age long enough. Definitely not uncommon for both of these civs to want to be that present. The shenanigans from Louis as he looks to grief. The attempt to get the merchant camp. That boar. Yeah, Louis just maintained the aggro, so just trying to delay the cap, which he's already done. And Louis already now moving to the south side. Now, Anatan's going to try to mirror this move, but down here, the boar is nowhere near the merchant camp. So you can't make the same play that's happening over here right now from Louis. Okay, he does accidentally keep aggro. That was good micro. Anatan forces a mistake there and gets his cap. So this stone, guys, why is it so important? The Forgotten Ruins is going to generate a lot of stone per minute. You get 60 per minute, which means when you garrison from the start of the game, you can get to 5 minutes in and have your daimyo unlocked to get a Katana Bannerman. And a Katana Bannerman is not only going to buff your spearman damage to compete with your opponent, it's going to give you the tankiest mother ducker you can get your hands on in the Dark Age. I guess that's not true. If you can somehow get Jean to level 2 in the Dark Age, that would do it too. So one thing I was saying to Caillou that like I think would be an interesting version of this map. Maybe it's a different map at that point. But the one risk you can run on this map is if you're not somewhat aggressively competent, you can get pinned in your base and have nothing to work with quite quickly. So I was saying, I wonder if it'd be cool, if you look on the mini-map, just have like a small thin path that goes all the way up to here. The only issue I know of is I know that the map-making tools don't let you be that specific. Because I'd be saying it'd be like a 1 or 2 tile thick small passage. We control Anatan spears here, by the way. He gets stand on the 2 close merchant camps. Louis blobbing beyond him, though. And I think this is really about that Katana Bannerman time. That's what he's looking for. The stone's almost ready. So if he can maintain with not many losses, he has a big edge here. Well, Louis is getting ready to swing his own edge. We're getting close to that Vizier point. Remember, Imams with the AoE heal look busted in Dark Age fights. I can't imagine Anatan wants to stay here much longer with that detail in mind. I think Louis is ready to mirror as well. So full production is stopped. Daimyo is on the way. And as is the Kura storehouse. Interesting, yes. Anatan didn't place it in the tree line to save wood on building a lumber camp. He just wants as many farms as quickly as possible without hindrance, which makes sense. Last time Anatan played this map, he ended up getting a little bit starved in the corner without access to food. And that was ultimately what killed him. By the way, if people want to try this map for themselves, it is available on the mod section. So anyone can download and play this map. You can all get stiff. I wonder, does he just play a standard fast castle build now? I think this is something about points of interest. It really twists your arm to keep being present instead of just abandoning the map. Now, he does have that Katana Bantam now, and check the stats on this bad boy. 155 HP. This is a Dark Age stat line. Look at it. I don't know why. It's very clearly an oversight. The Katana Bannerman, his stats don't change with the age up, right? I think they just forgot about this because you never ever saw people getting a Dark Age Katana Bannerman before the current season when they introduced these merchant camps and a reason to stay Dark Age. Also, like, guys, can we chill out? This is very clearly just a silhouette of a bee. Yeah, just a little bee. Nothing weird here. The Bugacia is a little bit weird, though. Was that intentional or maybe a misclick? Oh, dude, he's actually doing it. So we have Bugacia spam. Is this because he's expecting Yumi? I mean, it counters the spears. It does have the capability to run down the imams as well. However, Own and Bugacia, especially in the early age, are really weak against the meta armor. Wait, dude, is this guy winning the whole game? He just killed a spearman despite the double heal. The Bugacia arrives as well. It's hand. Able to strangle him off of this site. Louis has now got the switch into archers, though. That's the trade-off. You've built spears, now you've built Bugacia. There's a lot of things that get countered by archer play. And I thought maybe for that reason, Anatan would consider going, like, horseman. But it's just going to be standard Yumi. I guess, like, the 10% buff to them was just too good to resist. Well, yeah, of course the guy with a sword wins. You brought a stick to a sword fight? That's like bringing a gun to a cannon fight. I guess now for Anatan, the goal is in the next fight, lose the Katana Bannerman and then replace him with a Yumi. But now he's going to get his value out of it. Needs to be careful with those imams. If you lose just one, you can't really arrive in the fights anymore. It's kind of funny, actually. The ball, he did get aggroed. That was the weird thing about Anno's dive, is like because he's mainly relying on his melee more than his opponent is, it leaves him a bit more susceptible to that element. We have got the spears from the south side now starting to arrive for Louis MT. They've been guarding down on the merchant camps, but they've secured the area. Anno has now arrived at perfect time with the Yumis, though. So we're going to scare him away. Steel Arrow is also on the way in, which is something that Louis MT is going to be lacking, meaning this Yumi will equalize the archer damage in the fights. Well, that katana is still alive, folks. It's actually crazy just how long these bad boys can survive in the early age. Especially when compared to Uma Bannerman's. But there's the deletion we were expecting. Not the first time that Anatan has deleted a unit on this map. However, this time he will not immediately GG. Is there a world in which Anatan eventually goes Horseman is what I'm wondering now. With Kura, it's definitely kind of affordable. I think that's the other thing I really like about Anatan's comp. He's adjusted to the issue he had with food last time on this map. But he needs to be cognizant of the other issue when he played that Knights Templar game. It wasn't just food, it was wood as well he was running out of. And wood is heavily limited here as well. Louis now going to be finding his way to Steel Darrow. No undermesh yet from Anatan is a little bit surprising, but I think he's almost accrued the gold required. No one went for the Wolf Den? Yeah, I think the Wolf Den just like is proving not to be worth it. It's just too risky in the eyes of a lot of players. It is very, very far out. I could see worlds in which it would work. I think it comes down to like situations where your opponent tries to just get out of Dark Age quickly and you've invested Feudal. Then it'll make sense as a catch-up mechanic. So like, I think the Wolf Den, even though we're not seeing it used, is its role will be as it should be. Hook comes in. I like the way Anatan kind of forced the formation there in the end. The Yuumi Bannerman absorbing a lot, but now he's getting target fired down. So Louis did want to remove him. The boar is involved. And it's already chasing him to Louis. That was a big deal. If the boar had chased here, then Anatan would have been forced out of range of the Bannerman, losing the buff entirely. And he has lost it temporarily. Yuumi Bannerman has been re-queued. Louis is going to back up until Undermesh is ready. We do have a switch into Sapahi. The Geisha from Anatan is interesting into Archemass. It's reluctant to go towards those horsemen, which I kind of understand. Like, you know, you can buff them with Uma Bannerman, but you need to get 600 stone to get extra Bannerman in the first place. On top of that, they're still going to be nowhere near as good as the Sapai. Another thing that's interesting about the way Anno played this, I think something that did force him to just fully commit to Yuumi wasn't just the archer off, but like it's the fact that if you don't have Yuumi, how do you snipe the meta? And if you can't snipe the meta, do you ever want to be playing feudal aggro against Ottomans? Probably not. Big shout out to the devs on that, by the way, identifying that the Yuumi were just underwhelming for Japan. And without them, like if you think about it, you know, even when you reach Castle Age, Japan's always had this issue of like, where's the value in range units? You know, once upon a time, they had a really good range unit all the way in Imperial with the Azutsu, but that got nerfed, and then everything else around it didn't feel substantial. I think the one exception, something that became very meta actually, was Onimusha in team games. In 1v1 specifically, we very rarely saw it be about range. Spy arrive. Outpost is getting its upgrades in, so it can't be killed. Anatan is going to stand his ground here. I think Louis MT realized the outpost fire is a little bit too much. He's going to back away. He really didn't want to give over this deer and boar location. He's now being secured. Anno is starting to stockpile resources, folks. Louis MT, however, is reinvesting, and he's looking to break him here. Siege engineering now on the way. It's got double merchant camp on the south side, so that's generating additional resource for the push. The military school count has come in. We've got double here. It's not a bad position. I think Anatan's reading the timing might just be right. Playing too long in this feudal is a bad idea because Ottomans get so many perks as time goes on due to those vizier points. Interesting. I like the fact he went Anatolian Hills here. He could have had the extra military school, but the issue with this pacing for Louis was definitely going to be food. You already see how he's taking risks out into the deer. And that's with the extra sheep at home. But a game mode that capped age ups to castle tend to make games longer or shorter. I think it could actually just make games stalemate more because you don't have a clear option to end the game. Maybe. I don't think it's needed. Imperial's a lot rarer these days than it used to be, which is what I always gun for. I feel like less than 25% of games should reach Imperial Age. At least on the competitive level. Because if every game is going to be Imperial, then it makes all the other like phases of the game almost feel redundant from a high level perspective. It's just all set up at that stage. So Yuumi being pressured, but the double outpost is helping out a lot here to defend Anatan. And Louis may have misread the situation a little. He's going to have to back up now. The ranged armor is helping a lot with his survivability, however. Torches are getting pulled out, so round will be cleared. Yeah, I think the double fortification just made that a little bit too unlikely to ever succeed. Louis has done a great job of stockpiling resources. He's almost ready for the tech up. He's also being careful to show respect to the scaling unit count. Anatan, well, this is the funny thing now. He pushes you all the way back, and remember, you've got better movement speed, so retreating away from the archer mass is easy. So what he just done there is he actually pressured his opponent to force another investment into troops, while also guaranteeing that if his opponent counterattacks, he's super far away from the tech up. Very smart banter. Look at this switch now. We're going to be getting Samurai. Makes sense. You could wait for Mount Samurai in Castle, but you have to remember that he's playing against one of the best anti-cav civs in the game, as these guys have access to Janissaries. UMT, now realizing what's just happened, is going to mirror into the castle. Does not have the imams anymore. Remember, they died, so there won't be any immediate pickup of relics for him. If anything, Anatan has the edge to get towards them. Also, something a bit awkward back here, right? Yeah. Anatan, he pulled the villager out from the stone earlier. Remember, he should have been done by now. He would have gathered 360 stone and then excavated a relic. But he chose to pull the worker out early. So he doesn't have a relic already in his base to drop in. Why does everyone keep saying that? It's a fidget spinner. It's like, it's one of those defect manufactured fidget spinners. But you know, if something down below is defect for you, this is a good time to remind you guys that these are the HIMS cups. Big shout out to HIMS for sponsoring these. If your junk ain't ready for the funk, and even punching it won't get it to wake up, then maybe it's time to take that survey online and see if you can get yourself some sweet, sweet assistance. It even comes spim info. Alright, no more docking around. Time to get to it. Veterancy comes in for the Yumi. Was rushed here. Now we do have the Samurai following this up, so Louis, a little bit of a sticky situation. His veterancies are a mile off. Yeah, 40 seconds out. So he's going to get idled here. Some workers can also get sniped because Yumi can actually gap close you. Better movement speed. Good micro. Gets the triple kill. He blocks off the additional food. Now, Louis MT did have the sheep reserves. He's still sitting on 9 at home. And he also did play Madrasa, so he's not going to get starved out. But he's playing very risky with his economy here. If Anatan even just senses it, he can clear all this, remember. You're talking about, what, 22 villages with only one outpost. And Yumi run faster. Yeah, he's playing a dangerous game. Anatan, he does find the first workers. That's going to lead him to the rest. So he leaves one samurai to chase this, but that samurai is going to get insane amounts of info here. Look at this. Anatan now knows just how much of the worker crew are here. And that's going to send a bit of a panic down Louis MT's spine. He has to react. He knows that he peels the supply to go hunting, but the amount of samurai coming here is ridiculous. It's 18 samurai already. Double outpost being rushed up. Against that many samurai, they'll easily clear those. And here they come. Activate the hypest anime music you've got, because this is exactly what Anatan was waiting for. Ghost of Tsushima's got nothing on our boys here. Yumi now able to intercept the reinforcements. The archers trading out against this do no damage. No Adachi tech just yet, but it doesn't need it. He's got raw numbers over the men-at-arms. Wallow there. Staggers just to scare the Sipahi, but will wipe them anyway. And just a handful of samurais to keep the entire army busy here. Anatan on the verge of the breakthrough he needs. Yeah, just sweeping through these archers. Crossbows now on the way, but the Yumi will be able to trade out with those. We have got Onimusha also arriving to deal with a few lancers that are there. Anatan, with so much food in reserve, he can just double down on this pump easily. What a timing. I love the way that Anatan elegantly played this tug of war between their two bases. Never truly overextending, but fully leveraging the mobility of this Yumi to get away with things that normal archers wouldn't. To get to this point here, with Louis MT bent over his knee, And the full paddle ready to spank. Look at that lead building as well. Anatan, he did go for the Euroshield drop. And remember, because he's at Daimyo level 2, he can get into the Yumi Bannerman, the Katana Bannerman, even the Uma Bannerman. He can buff up everything in this army. Gonna be a little bit of a slowdown, at least for the moment. Louis did get the first Mango out. If he can get a little bit of a front line together, he can stabilize inside his base when a dive comes. The problem here is, like, can you stay in your base? There's not really anything left here. No, okay. He's done a good job of keeping the tree lines in reserve. The food is the big issue now for Louis. This can't feel great either. Building Janissary against Yumi. He's really hoping the mangoes are good enough to clear it. So again, just the split on point. Anatan minimize the damage from the mango. Splits off the troopers. The Onimusha sniping down the lancers. And Yumi going for the dive just to trade out against crossbows. So you've just got Anatan playing counters where they're needed. Whereas Louis' troops are in a bit more of an A-click mode here. Villagers coming in for the repair. So Mango is going to be kept alive, but with so few Yumi still up and standing, at this stage, you're just going to start regretting the villager losses. I think Anatan may be a bit overzealous trying to kill this. If he just kills these workers who do not have textiles, that's the lead he would need to end this game. And he agrees. Kills them off, kills Louis, and cuts him off in game number 5. The nullification is intensifying. Okay, we're getting some interesting maps. 20 minutes, like, not insanely long games, but, like, very, very cool dynamic in that game. That was definitely the most interesting one I think we've had so far on the Stiff. So, mark it up. Our boyo's able to strike back. So, Japanese versus Ottomans. And what have we got left? So they've got Gorge and Rocky River. What's he going to pick? With his draft, I think this is Rocky River for Louis. You've got Shushi, Order of the Dragon, both of them seen there frequently. I mean, Gorge, I guess you can make Shushi work. It's just if you see a good meditation garden opportunity, maybe go out to the center of the map on Rocky River. Reminder, by the way, we are going to have a redraft after this game. So one Civ is going to go unused on both sides. Anatan's definitely a grower. Feels like it, right? I was a little bit worried at the start. Glad to see he's able to start striking back like this, though. So, did he choose a map? I think we just had someone random join Anatan's draft. The hell? Someone called Toktamish Khan. Okay, so yeah, Louis chosen Rocky River. Been a while actually since we've seen Rocky River. That's a map that historically like got quite long games. I think that's why it got pulled out of tournaments and whatnot. Is once it got figured out, people were very good at like just walling off the map. So being Rocky River, probably, honestly could be seeing Shushi Chinese here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's going to be just the mirror or closest to it that you're going to get. Now, this is a matchup that I used to think that Shushi should just have an edge in because with the Pro Scouts meta, you just bulk up loads of cav. But funnily enough, Shushi have been losing quite a lot against China recently. I think it comes down to the maps. Like, typically, we've been seeing this on maps like Carmel, for example, where there's not much safe gold. And obviously, China is a bit better with the Imperial Academy at saving gold early on. But the more interesting thing that I was noticing as time went on that map is that China's just stopped playing the Lancers very early. They're quite good at getting into these like crossbow spear timings compared to Sushi. So, yeah, very interesting. Right, one sec. Am I getting spammed in the back? Yes, I am. I've got loads of messages. China doesn't have AoE bombards for extra range? Sure, but like when does it get to that stage? I mean, if you get to the true late game, you can make the argument about the fact that you don't have hand cannoneers, which has always been a big deal breaker. Of how important hand cannon is in the late game, he who doesn't have it feels a bit sad. And then China has other things going their way as well. I think the Great Wall Gatehouse is always rather a solid defense. Their Yuan is just so much better than Shushi's. Shushi really, I think, leans themselves to be a very good cavalry civ in the late game. Because you don't even want to do like Palace Guard Mirror. Because your Palace Guard is substantially worse. Remember that China has a battle-hardened tech, which specifically only China gets to give 30 extra health to each Palace Guard. Which then scales up even more due to the nature of elite army tactics. So yeah. Clock. Yep, Clock is another fair area to highlight. The Clock Tower comes back into itself hyper late game. Oh wait, you're gonna go for the Monk argument? So like the problem with the Monk argument is if your opponent has Yuan, you get kited quite easily. It's tricky. I feel like for the Monk strat to be really good, you kind of want to have eight Imperial officials, so you can supervise all the pagodas. Well, I guess you can kind of finesse it with 6. Then you have like 1 to supervise gold, 1 to supervise wood. Usually you don't supervise your granaries anymore, and then you just tax with that final guy. The boys are getting the game, so let's get to it. Wait. Did they crash? I think they crashed. Alright, give us a sec. Whoa. A long game with this matchup? So this matchup, I'd say, is usually like 25 to 30 minutes, I want to say. It's not as long as you'd think. Because the thing with this matchup is it gets very volatile at Castle. You just don't really see that Imperial timing that we were discussing a little bit as much. Like one player tends to kind of either the player who went mass lancers breaks you before you make a crossbow spear transition, or the crossbow spear blob gets too big and pushes back. It's definitely not impossible to get later, but like most games recently with these two civs has been ending like that. All right, let's look like we're good to go. We G to the go. Nice. All right, let's get predictions up. I feel like it wouldn't be a finals without this matchup. Yeah, like every time this happens, one and all, welcome back to HIMS Cup number 6. The battle, the showdown of champions, our two unbeatens in the ED hair loss campaign. I just had to get a beaten comment in there. No, seriously though, guys, like neither of these players has lost in the HIMS Cups. It was actually Louis MT who was our winner staying on, but he had to take a bit of a break. Then Anatan took over and rolled over people time and time again. Looked like he was on the verge of rolling over and playing dead, but sprung back to life here. Gets us deep into the series. 6th game of this best of 9. And it's going to be that Chinese Sushi matchup that, as I said, it just appears in so many of our finals. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, usually the Sushi Chinese picks have been known to be split historically between players. And then they tend to be advantaged in the same maps. The exception might be water maps. That's an affair where Sushi can leverage differently. Especially if it's hybrid ones like Kawasan. That's a map where normally you won't see China, but we'll see Sushi. But when you're talking about these standardized maps like Dry Arabias, Lipony's, etc., they always tend to get revealed the same place. Well, here, folks, we are in good old Rocky River. Bit of a classic, one that we don't see as often these days. This fell off in terms of popularity, both from its usage on the ladder, but also in tournaments. I think with Rocky River, things got anchored quite quickly. People figured out the map, the early mid-game states, and then you arrive in these late games where it was very common to just see these stone walls up on the choke points that slowed the game down. Yeah, and also, you know, they do at least have forward spawning trade posts, but there is kind of a negative connotation around these of how easy it can be to trade in the late game. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see an updated version of Rocky River that puts these trade posts here. Something else that's not going to be surprising is the Imperial Academy coming in from China. Pretty much the standard play. For Louis, is there a good meditation garden? Not unless he wants to walk out to the center of the map. And even then, wait, what? This actually might be the single worst meditation garden Rocky River spawn I've ever seen. There's like nothing. I guess you could have got food. God, that's so far out for what that is, though. Yeah, folks, this map kind of got a reputation, especially before Meditation Garden's range got nerfed, because you could quite often find 4 berry batches spawning around this type of area in the choke points, like especially here. So many times we'd see it. Someone drop a Meditation Garden and generate 140 resources on this map. No. Blue MT, there was no option. Isn't going to waste time looking for it anymore. Does just go for the wide drop. So Goldstone touched, but not all the berries. Misses out on a decent amount of food. It's only, what, 24 food, 25 gold, and 25 stone. A 74 resource Medigarden. Nothing too overwhelming. So, the question now is, do we get a good old-fashioned Pro Scout Castle Rush? Anatan is the type of player that really likes his archers when he plays China. And there is inferior timing, especially when you get this type of sheep haul. 22? It has to be a little bit tempting. And he hasn't moved anyone to gold either, folks. No. In fact, I'm just double checking. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I was like, I didn't check the start. I'm pretty sure he didn't start with an Imperial Official. Yeah, he's got the money camp here. So he's just, I think he's going ham for this. Because guys, if you're going to do Pro Scouts, you'd have probably 2 to 3 villages on gold already. The importance is to get the efficient timing. So it might be we still get Pro Scouts, but for Anatan, he's at least going to play blocker to begin with. So likely we're looking at what, Spearman opening? Or do you go Horseman? Yes, give me Spears. Louis is keeping eyes on this, by the way. He just got a glance at that, so he knows it's going to be Rags. He's already queued up Pro Scouts. So he's somewhat committed to this timing, but you can always just open with 3, maybe 4 Scouts max, and then switch into Chuk would be pretty cool here. Indeed. A reverse sweep does feel quite feasible here. Reminder that after this game, they are going to redraft. They'll draft 4 civs each for the remaining 3 games. So that's quite interesting when you think about it, because with these show matches, we always look to present something new. So this week, it was a new map called Stiff. We've had 3 games on it so far, where there's been some experimentation, and the players have gotten to feel out Stiff and figure out what does or doesn't work. Now they have the potential to take what did work back into the draft again, whether it's something like the Lancaster pick, the Japanese pick, or what was the second game of the series? Sorry, third, the Mongol pick. And we are getting that archer play, folks. Yeah, Anatan is full ham sending. I love this. This is so cool. Because, like, if you play into Pro Scouts now, you're going to be delayed anyway. So you need to deny something in the first place. And it's a cool map to do it on, because remember, with Rocky River, most of the deer get spread across the center strip of the map. So it takes very long to get these home. In fact, this is the first game I think we've cast on Rocky River with the Season 10 Pro Scout nerfs. It takes ages to get these home now. And he's already camping the base. Goes to the dive in, doesn't quite get that worker. Formation shuffling. as absurd as it is going to keep a worker alive. And he's already moving out to the flank. So this is getting annoying. Louis MT's reaction is going to be to go into the pass guard. And I imagine Anatan has a timing in mind here. With the gold he's accrued, he could rush into Steeled Arrow, which would allow him to clear PG quite easily. Remember, early pass guard have a less ranged armor than melee. There it is, Steeled Arrow queued up. 50 seconds out, but I imagine he'll switch to Supervise in a second there. Benefits of having 4 taxmen when Chushi are kind of weak there. They only have 2. Actually, I think he maybe forgot. Yeah, hasn't supervised Steel Arrow still. He's got enough troops to easily deny the scout coming home, but the attempt to rush the outpost, he bails on it. Louis, I thought he'd actually commit at that stage, just pulling back the injured villager, but 80% he doesn't erect it. Antan's timing still looking good here, so it is going to force the cancel in the end. Yeah, I guess like with 7 archers already out here doing 6 damage each, it's just too risky. You're going to die in 2 hits. But that's problematic, folks. That means Louis is stuck on this H. He has no gold gathering outside of the pittering of gold from the meditation garden, which is disturbed right now, and the taxation, which is quite limited. And on top of that, he's already had to build a backup mill after playing a bit wide here. Although he didn't change the location. So yeah, it looks like he's going to be dropping off at the exposed mill. Chuganu switch is on the mind. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but how are you affording that? Yeah, would you like to pay by credit card or dad's credit card? Would you like to pay by credit card 5, 6, 7, or 8? Because with 8 gold income a minute, you're definitely going to be declaring bankruptcy with this strategy. This is tough. Let him see all the golds on the forward side. It's not like there's a clear backup option for him here. Barely any of the deer are getting home either. He has now got the horseman reaction. That does make sense. He can afford food and wood for the time being. Probably not for long, though. Spear even catches the pro scout on the east side. He's sending more over there as well. It's so suffocating the way that Anno's played this. Nundamesh, a great read with the Chuganu switch coming in. We did get a little bit of gold gathering. Did he trade? No, that's just the tax drop-off. And now he rushes the outpost. Look at this. There's a split. Yeah, Anatan, he went on both flanks. However, he's going to dive onto the deer. Starts to find the worker kills. So racks up 3. Outpost is now going to be going up, but look at the location. Your opponent can still dive you here from the south side. It's not fully secured just yet. Louis, at least with the undermesh, is able to contest with the palace guard. The Chuganu are going to be a big assister. But they're premium targets for him, so he's going to snipe them out. Back to kiting. So a little bit of a recovery arc there. Louis MT at least alive with resources now. Steeled Arrow is coming. There's going to be Horseman Chug, which is pretty damn solid into Archer Spear here. I'm not sure if Anno wants to persist in this age too long. We did have the pro scouts coming in, right? Yeah. So on delay, he now goes for it himself. I guess he had to. With this many archers, probably expected to force horsemen. And if you then run out onto the map for the middle resources, you just die. So he's playing it safe. He has edged out that lead, right? He's got a free worker lead here currently. His opponent hasn't got a crazy amount of deer home so far. The archers have definitely found their value in this game. I'm going to get mopped up now. Louis. This is where you kind of get paranoid, right? Like with your vision being limited on the map, and you've seen this many troops. You kind of see the numbers shrinking. You're like, okay, has he gone Castle Age now off the back of this? Or is there another wave coming? The tricky part is Louis' scouts are so focused on getting food home. They're not confirming for him, actually, if there is another wave. Someone said earlier that Anatom's good last year, but this year falling off. No, I don't think he's falling off. I think it's more some other people are catching up. Like, Louis MT was the one that had a bit of a struggle last year. He started off strong and then faded into obscurity towards the end of the year. And then he's come back in with full strength, man. Like, I've seen that kid flex. He's got no muscle mass. But his gamer muscles are some of the biggest in Age of Empires 4. That does seem to be a theme. A lot of our best players look like they would definitely lose in a street brawl. The exception of Vortex. Probably. Yeah. Anna, is he going to go for an A-drop? He's reached that awkward stage that we see with these Chinese archer builds. Look at his gold. It's got way too much from the taxation. Now, this is a classic. Like, it looks so broken when you see it played out like this because the gold's just sitting there. He's exchanging for castle now. This timing is crazy. And guys, not just that. He's getting ready to tech. He's still pushing into Louis MT's base. To address the early pass guard now. Feels like they're lasting longer than Horsemen. Chug never given a chance to exist. I think that's the biggest problem for Louis. Is like he's so far behind in the range battle. He can't catch up. So he had to kind of stick in limbo with melee to bog down his opponent. It did buy some critical time here. In the end, the outcome has been the same as it was always trending to. China teching first. Louis, he's about to get the last resources. Mount Lu Academy makes a lot of sense. He hasn't been able to get all the food he like home. I think he knows his opponent's now playing pro scouts. So he needs that extra runway of getting some food whenever he tags. Taxing series now on Louis. Army's just non-existent. On top of that, veterancy's being supervised. It's coming in just 15 seconds. Louis isn't able to even start his yet. Cheek once again getting targeted. The Horseman getting decent damage exchange there, but the Spearman is now being ignored. And the veterancy is in, so this is where the Palace Guard just melt. Lancer did just get queued up straight away by Louis, but that means he's just going to throw away the PG. And Lancers are already now being queued by Anatand also. Let's show some respect with the backup. A ranged armor 2, ranged damage 2 rather, is on the way for Anno. Archers will be able to deny some more of the pro scouts again. Yeah, my worry now for Louis is like your production rate is abysmal, right? Like with the gold on the front side as well, how do you afford mass Lancer? In theory, if you have a lot of gold here, you can go for regional inspection and then supervise one stables to get you where you need to be. But the problem is, like, when are you going to be able to get that much gold? Because I'd be surprised if Anatan doesn't just start consistently diving onto this gold. Remember, this outpost, it doesn't have hand cannon slits. It's not a real threat. Let me shift. Wait, he left the deer behind. No. Wait, he only has one deer. Okay, Louis, please at least realize. I'm hoping he's starting to drop them off at this mill now. And full shift across the tree line. Anna's just played this so well. Now, this is the way that China always feels scary, by the way. People wonder why I've been, you know, very hypercritical of the balance of China right now. This used to be their weak point. Like, trying to play feudal aggro was very difficult with China. And you can argue it's against Xu Shi here, but I've seen China do this against almost every civ in the game with great success. It's not as simple as just clicking one button. Anatan does it very well to allow for this, but I think even he'd agree. When you get this strategy rolling, it feels incredibly oppressive. Some lances are at least giving a bit of breathing room here. Anatan has switched those crossbows. Now, this is the interesting dynamic we've seen. Originally, Xu Shi had a win rate positive in this matchup. Quite convincingly, because you both rush Castle Age with the Pro Scouts and then Flood Lancers. And Xu Shi, their Lancers were just better. Over time, players have gotten a lot better at not just getting baited into a raw, heavy cav comp against a civ that has a 20% attack speed buff. On top of that, China has got better economy on average. Between the eventual Song dynasties, the extra taxmen, it all adds up. The other thing that China has done really well, these high-level players have been getting so good at transitioning out of heavy cav in the Pro Scout meta. That's difficult to do because with so much food to pump, you feel obligated to just keep building knights. A bit of a trade out here. We did get the Lancers diving in, so another worker kill. And Relic's score is now starting to stack up. Anatan is going up to 6 monks. What? Is he going to use these to heal? I think so. A little bit rough right now for Anno. Just feels like he needs to get the crossbows out here ASAP. Archers are going to trade with the expos on the backside. I like this. And his crossbows, they just came in. They're the secondary wave. Louis hasn't realized yet. Or maybe he feels like he just can't walk away. But now there is no easy comeback. No, he's pinned in. Lance is wiped. He's lost the crossbow race. At this point, he's 2, almost 3 steps behind. Soon to be 4 with a rush onto the relics. What an elegant execution of China in this matchup. And what a wonderful raid from Real Tiger. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope you had a good stream. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, one and all, to a series that started off looking like it was going to be a stomp. But Anatan, the deeper we've went, the more of a statement he has made. Louis may have began the series with 3. But Anatan has now answered back with 3 wins in a row. And the Barbican is the one that is going to guarantee that detail. Stakes a claim on those tree lines. He can't stop it from going up. Why? Because Anatan has been swallowing those important mint pills. His China build is fully erect and operational and ready to wreck Louis' world. Louis, it's starvation time. It's time to start drawing straws and decide who's going to get cooked on the Spitfire. Spitfire? Spit roast. Sprint placements on the way. A cool idea, but why not in the better attack? It doesn't matter. GG gets called. He's done it. This series is stacking up to deliver exactly what we wanted out of our 2 HIMS Cup champions. Good old Moke with his analysis based on his $2 million earning in AoE4. I still need to see you sign up for these, bud. For the, the KPMMs. All right, so redraft time. Let's stack up the scores and get ready to get stiff again. We've got potentially 2 more stiffs happening this series. And the draft is about to get underway. So remember, we've got a redraft now happening. Paying Bitcoin. What would be the point in paying out $300 in Bitcoin? How much would that even be worth? Also, why do you require Bitcoin? Where do you live that requires Bitcoin? I'm trying to think where that could even be. That'd be 0.0000095 Bitcoin. Also, sheesh, looking at that decline, why would you even want to be paid in it? Let me have a look. Oh, I forgot to name some of these. God, I can't resist the phallic comments. I've just typed for one of the titles, the perfect map for a tug bracket of war. I'm a terrible person. Your first mod thingy? Wait, what did you do? Argentina. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. How did I forget about that? Where, like, it was very clear that the guy in charge was involved in some illicit crap and was like, no, I wasn't. I swear this is, like, innocent. I just want you guys to, like, you know, have things, like, services that are useful. Yeesh. All right, one sec. I needed to... that's what I want to do. I want to double check the live dashboard on YouTube because it's being very weird with the categorization of which game we're on. It's acting like Age of Empires doesn't exist on YouTube, which is very weird. No, okay, it does. It's just like for some reason the category doesn't have a photo or an emblem, whatever. That reminds me actually of photos, emblems. I need to really get our scenes redrafted. I'm trying to figure out whether we stick with green or go for a different color scheme. What would I go with? I think we've been using blue on our thumbnails. I kind of like the idea of orange and white. And Overwatch has died enough that people forget about it there. Green's just like very hard in AoE4, and I don't know if green like works for people in general. But you know, if you want like a green to work, maybe you got to try some winter green mints from HIMS. Oh, exclamation mark HIMS. Yeah, you can't really time out mods because like we don't allow it because it gets stupid. If a mod times out a mod, that person then loses their mod status, and then we have to remod them. So it kind of becomes a ball ache. And after I got lasered in the crown jewels, I don't like ball aches, so no thanks. Now, guys, clearly after I got Snip Snip, that proves that like I didn't necessarily need these giant pills, which do look very fancy. But some people, before they get to the stage where they consider needing Snip Snip, need to solve the fact that you get up to need Snip Snip in the first place. If you are one of those people, you do not have to feel embarrassed. You do not have to feel ashamed because HIMS have got you covered. It is an online service to get you the medication you may well need. All you have to do is go across their website, completely anonymous, fill out a survey, and they will figure out which medication would be able to get you on your way to a virile and happy midlife or whatever point in your life you're at to get back on Funky Town and have a fun time. So if you want to check them out, HIMS, they have been sponsoring these show matches every Friday and will continue to be in our channel, in our community, all the way through to July. So big shout out to them. You guys want some uppy pills? I do find it ironic when someone's sitting in front of like a phone or a PC and typing on a PC that sends data across an internet. There's a man-designed thing and uses the words all natural. Keck W. All right, so we should be getting the draft in a second. Let's look at what the boys have cooked up here. Oh, sorry, I need to do the draft offset. So 6. So these are the picks available. Louis MT rated the Lancaster. Notice that Anatan did not renew his English pick. He did, however, go back for his Japanese. Yeah, so both players basically went back for the civs that won them a game on Stiff. And Louis is going to try to kick off the redraft with another Stiffy win. It's going to be Mongol time. But this time around, Louis... Oh, sorry, no. Anatan takes the Mongols. I'm a Muppet. And this time around, though, interestingly enough, Mongols make an appearance, but Marlians is going to be the ratchet out of Louis. Marlian Mongol. Was he expecting Japan? No. I'm trying to figure out what Louis is going to do here, because remember, this map has a lot of point of interest, and Marlians are, in theory, one of the worst civs at playing those. Marlians love it when they can sit inside their base and throw crap at you, and you can't attack them. But when you talk about points of interest, leaving your base, like that involves you actually coming out of the safety of TC where people can attack you. Very interesting. Who's him? HIMS is a company that is able to help people with issues around ED, erectile dysfunction, as well as hair loss. So they provide the means to get your hands on medication that would help resolve those issues in many different cases. So if you are suffering with either hair loss, I don't. If you want hair like mine, maybe HIMS can help you out with that. If you want, no, I'm not going to show you the other thing. If you happen to have issues with erectile dysfunction, which despite our giggling around it, it's a serious thing. It affects a lot of people. It's unfortunate. It's just the way of things. And you don't want it to affect you anymore, then HIMS might have the solution for you. So we've partnered up with them to run show matches every Friday in the Age of Empires 4 scene. So if you do want to support the channel, give it a click through, give it a look if you happen to be one of those people suffering. Really cool thing about it is it's completely anonymous. You can do it all remotely from home. You don't have to have those awkward meetings with doctors time and time again, over and over again. We've all been there for different issue in life, maybe not this one, we have to keep going back and it gets tedious. The cool thing is they'll have a survey that you fill out and should be able to expedite the process of you getting the help that you need to get that life back on track. But now we need to get back into the games. Boop. If I had a third hand, that would have been seamless. Third hand. No one make the comment about a third arm. Oh, we need to set upcoming. And then we go put Stiff back in the corner. Look at the way it just dangles there. A map worthy of a series this proud. We have got 2 champions getting this deep into a best of 9. They burrow even deeper still. Anatan, now in the yellow on the Mongols, up against Louis MT on the Malians. 3 more games ahead of us, potentially. And after Louis MT accelerated in the lead, 3-0, looking like we're going to have a quick day, Anatan has reminded us just how firm, strong, and tall he can stand. 3-3 storyline. It means we get treated to this wonderful new map at least once more. I could easily see us deciding it here in a final game number 9. In terms of picks, Anatan did steal away the pick that was used by Louis MT earlier in this series, the Mongols. While Louis goes and brandishes something entirely new, on a map with points of interest, Malians haven't been a highly sought-after civ due to how expensive their donzos are, how much slower they can be to produce. So curious to see what Louis got in mind here. What was the age demo for AoE viewers? So most of the Age of Empires demographic sits in the 25 to 45-year-old band. In fact, surprisingly enough, in the over 30 band, about half of that, of the 80% we just categorized. It's quite a lot, actually. You'd be surprised in the demographics. RTS is an aging demographic. So, first spizzer here. The idea for Louis, I think, is just to poke. So he's going to move in, hurl a javelin, walk away, hurl a javelin, walk away. And he's hoping gradually the damage adds up so that he can then come in and snatch the merchant camp. So I guess with that in mind, Anatan's goal is to rush these key objectives before that timing comes in. Majority of us are 30 plus attracted to the game by nostalgia. Yeah, like Age of Empires has a long legacy, but it's not just Age of Empires. Like StarCraft, I think, has quite what's the word I'm finding? An old leaning demographic. Warcraft does as well. Like RTS, if you think about it, makes sense as well. If you're looking at people who are in their early 20s, and those people and what they gamed on growing up, they gamed on FPSs. It's been FPSs as the primary. FPSs, sports games, etc. Strategies really had their golden age in the early 2000s. So it looks like we have got Anatan now capturing that Forgotten Ruin. So I guess he's going to keep competing with the spear count. Remember, this is going to generate 60 stone a minute, which is going to allow him to double pump spearmen. Quite the commitment we're getting as well, considering he's going to be pumping them solo to keep this rocking. Surely this becomes untenable as you scale, though. Louis MT's already up to 6 donzos. Damage adds up, folks. 5 per strike. That means he's doing 30 damage. That means he can free hit a spearman, i.e. kill one every 45 seconds without taking damage. Anatan does say zug zug. On he goes to the south side. He's going to start picking up the merchant camps. I think he knows that inevitably he's going to have to forfeit this one eventually. So he just wants to get ones far away elsewhere. How did predictions do, by the way? 50-50 exactly? Damn. That is crazy. It's a weird one because I think this matchup felt really good for Mongols for a while, but people got so good at countering these outpost rush and these spear spams onto the pit mines compared to before. I would have probably expected the bets to lean more towards Mongols just because of the mid-map objectives. But credit to him. I think Louis, due to the linear nature, there's a tug of war here. And yes, that was clearly by design. On the map called Stiff, we wanted people to tug at each other. We have this interesting dynamic over two merchant camps that I think favors the Donzo idea. Anatan, the tricky part's going to be getting in time. He already used the maneuver speed arrow. Other thing to keep in mind is even if he reaches, these individual Donzo are better. They have got 1 melee armor, mitigating about 15% of these spin damage. Looks like Antan's ready for the tech. He's done this really well, actually. He's going to beat Louis to the timing, which easier said than done when you know that pit mine's clawing its way up towards the fuel. But it's credit to what he's done on the map, right? He maintained that one merchant camp. He locked in the second. He's going for the third. Also, love the fact that he leaves them here just in case someone comes to snatch them. Just so that you can idle it out and hold it longer. Deerstone now on the way. The Manticore reaction is going to be coming in as expected. So who won this is what you're going to be asking now. You know, who benefited most from this? Anatan did make a hell of a lot of spears, but that's not a bad thing necessarily, folks. If Malians were planning to do the atypical Donzo Javelin build, you don't feel great about Javelins into spears. Now, likely, we are going to be seeing archers from both sides, and I see that as an edge for Mongols, especially when you consider things like the Khan Hunter, as well as the Deerstone. So unfair Donzos throw jabs. It's pretty annoying, but the thing is, in most games, it's so hard to scale to a point where it matters. Like, think about it here. What do Mongols really have this crazy for them? Yes, double production is nice every once in a while, but compared to Donzos, you would have thought that Malians would have been ahead after 7 minutes of this, but it doesn't really feel that way. So hardened status is coming in. Very important on Stiff. Okay. He has mirrored it now. And this is where it gets a little bit crazy. Now look at that health. 100 compared to 90 with the melee armor. So Anno needs to switch up fast. The crazy thing is that he's actually somehow snatched another merchant camp. It's 4 merchant camps versus none. The archer's now on the way. Louis, however, is still gunning Donzos. He has got the archer range ready. And there's the javelins. Okay, but his tempo is going to be off a little here, right? Javelins take 23 seconds. Archer's only 15. And also remember, all that stone accrued, that's going to be, look, double production times 3. It's a crazy ramp. Necessary one as well. And by the way, these merchant camps are very valuable. It's 45 resources per. So about like 1.5 villages per. So extra 6 eco there. And what is up? Extra subs there. Appreciate you, Faplop. Thank you very much. Love to see Caillou getting a gifted sub so he can see the map that he was able to create for us in all its glory. Yeah, people asking, I think Caillou said it. We give him our scuff paint designs and then the mad lad goes to work. And honestly, couldn't have done it without Caillou. He's been so integral to getting this done. Like, he gets a composition of a map up and running within 3 or 4 days of receiving the concept. Look at this archer blob. This is crazy. Forgotten Ruins, though, you just see how advantageous it is. Plus the accrued stone when he realized he didn't need to spam spears as hard. Speaking of spears, they are going to start just trying to dive into the houses. Archers need to be trading out with that Donzo mass. Yeah, it's just the design here. He wants to block the spears from reaching his jabs. And the javelins are just getting ignored. I love this idea from Anatan. He knows with this many archers, he can clear the enemy army a lot quicker if he just ignores the javelins. Sick read, and now able to contest them. This many archers, it doesn't matter that you've got free ranged armor. You tickle, they tickle. And it puts Louis in quite the pickle. So rough for Louis. I mean, the thing is, you're stuck with Donzos and you have no reason to actually have Donzos now. Whereas this is the beauty of Mongols in this matchup. Like, having spears is not bad against javelins. It's a great damage absorber. It can bog them down. True nuisance. So like for Louis, the Donzos for him is like a necessity to exist. Whereas Anatan has options, whether it's attacking the Javs, muddying down the premium Donzos, or attacking these buildings that are exposed. And now the villagers on the berries and the cattle out here. I think this is over. Yeah, I know he's not going to let go of this. The Jav count is at least getting a little bit better, so maybe he stabilizes? But it's rough with what's happening behind this. Like, the raw eco advantage is getting absurd. And Donzos have been cleared. Look at that. There's the spears. At the end of the fight, they dive on in. Archers will just snipe down any injured villagers they can find. Shivs do come out. An extensive lead now starting to build. Like 3 workers plus the 4 merchant camps. Like Anatan so far ahead. Luke MT close to dead. Just berries plus the cowl and then nothing else. But I love to see that something else. What is up, Aaron Paul? Thank you very much. Appreciate the bits, mate. Goes a long way. Thank you everyone who's been tuning into these, supporting the channel with monetary, but also your attention. Hopefully, if we keep growing the numbers on these show matches, we'll be able to get HIMS to come back and do something bigger. Which, I mean, is important. Like, you know, with ED Awareness Month, you want to try to get bigger. Look at that steel arrow timing. Louis is going to beat him with the undermesh, but this has to be scary right now, the way Louis is marching out. After what he just saw, I mean, it did look like Anatan was overextending a bit, but I think it was worth it between the other time and the kills. Now the other tricky part is look at the archer range. Yeah, your Javs, by the time they wind up an attack, the archers have attacked back because of the extra range from the Khan Hunter. Khan Hunter that doesn't even kill in one hit. Gets that final hit out, though. Is there a world in which we see Keshix from Anno? Maybe Keshix or possibly more spears. I think probably Anatan's win condition in his mind now is just to scale archers and then build Kurotai. Love the outpost. Yam's going to be critical here to get that gap closed, but it also just guarantees these guys can't stop the ball play. Could Louis claw his way out of this hole? I mean, never say never, right? And when you think of all the civs in the game that can get themselves out of these most ridiculous circumstances, one of the kings amongst them has been Malians for a long time, just because of the passive way they scale infinite economy. Of course, we're not at that stage where Louis can take that risk, though, so he's going to be moving out towards the deer. Anatan is now going Keshix. I guess in his mind, if he doesn't keep attacking, there's always a risk that like Malians could tech up now because they've massed javelins. That's when the Javelineer build opens up. The map's giving an idea. HIMS, HIMS, HIMS. Someone's like, oh yeah, I don't want to see this on major tournaments. Are you telling me you wouldn't crack up if you had like a LAN arena environment and this map came on and it started off with the crowd chanting, stiff, stiff, stiff. Come on. It'd be like being at the local ball game. You want for Anatan, he's at the local ball game. Plays both ends of the map for Pumbaa. I just realized how much this is hitting home after we talked about like vasectomies the other day and it's smelling like burnt pork. Oh no, Archer's now with the dive in. Outpost does go up from Louis though. However, that's 5 idle villages in there. And the Keshiks do arrive just in time to get slapped in the face. They're absorbing a decent amount of fire here, but the Archers aren't able to justify the trade. So he's going to back away. And that means Louis does have confirmation he needs to get into the Donzos. Can he, though, is the real question. The food isn't really lasting that long for him here, I don't think. No, he's almost exhausted the deer already. Going any deeper is going to feel risky. Like, this is reasonably wallable, but out here, wide open. Not to mention the fact you'd have to address the wolf den, and you haven't built any torch power. Instead, he's probably just focused on trying to take any eco that Anatan has away. Has he got the farms? Okay, no ranches yet. He's just continuing to eat the cows. I think, now that I actually think about it, it's kind of weird that Marlians was so popular on Receding. Receding, if you can remember, that was the map that had 3 Forgotten Ruins in the center. But, like, Marlians, despite their popularity there, would never want them, right? You have no use for stone with the Civ, outside of dropping a castle. Or, like, fortifications, but compared to other Civs that could use it for example, TCs, it doesn't make that much sense. You know what the cool thing is? By the end of what we've done here with the HIMS show matches, we could essentially have a full roster of maps that we could pitch them to run a big tournament with. Oh, that would be perfect. What is not perfect is this Donzo count. Only 7 against 10 Keshiks now. And Anatan ready to row here and ride in. A little bit of hesitation there. Doesn't want to risk any of them dying too fast, so just baits the Donzos out of position. Even lets in a few spearmen just to waste time. And the Keshiks, they do turn onto the outposts. Okay, so he's looking for those worker kills. Archers are there to snipe. And Louis just tries to run for it, but he's not able to get away from this. The Keshiks, they bait the Javelins to recommit. Definitely taking injuries here, but you just see how stable the count feels between 7 to 10. We saw 12 at one point, I believe. The Javelin count, however, is getting loony here. 30 Javelins in total. Louis MT, this would be the point where Farimba would feel highly desirable. I think Anatan, aware of the impeding threat, he's starting to stockpile. Kurotai can make a lot of sense here. Love this. Stealth Forest Louis, he doesn't have great vision. He's trying to use it against him. That worked out quite nicely. Step closer. Anatan, just one drop off that age up. This Stealth Forest is kind of the bane of Louis' existence because he didn't bring the scout. And yeah, good eyeballs. Louis, why has he got the commands from stone? I guess he was expecting to need more outpost fortifications and then forgot to toggle it back. Pretty wasteful there. Yo, wait, what? Someone got the new AMD cards? Hell yeah. A new 9070. I've heard rumors there might be a 9080 being planned. So I'm keeping eyes on that. Let me know what you think of it, though. I've heard good things. The only tricky part is, like, they are very hard to get anywhere near their retail now because they were so popular on launch. Which kind of made them less valuable than they were originally reviewed for. Still a good card. It looks like Anatan's got all the cards in his hand, ready to just pull out a full house here. The Keshiks, the Archers ready to roll, and the Kurotai is going to be there. Louis, I mean, it has to be Farimba. What else can you do here? My worry is if Anatan packs up the Deerstone, that double aura, I mean, what do you do with Javelins at that stage? Because you'd be surprised, folks. Like, once you get Kurotai Archers, they counter Javelins. Not 1-to-1, but I think the value point is like 1.2 or 1.3 to 1. Which is pretty reasonable for a unit that costs 33% less. And we're talking about the counter unit, right? Remember that other important detail. Look at the speed it moves in with Kurotai. Ready to unpack. Wait, he's going... Oh my god, he's going so deep! Wow, you built a castle landmark too! Twinsies! Oh god. It's their worst nightmare. I lose count of the amount of Mongol Malian games that end with their landmark next to your castle one. Dive comes in. The Javelin upgrade hasn't even kicked in yet. The Javelin is about to complete, but the veterancy is not there. Keshiks continue the dive. He is moving out of range of the Kurotai now. Villagers getting sniped alongside this, though, and the push continues. There's Archers soon to lose their upgraded damage via the Kurotai, but they do have veterancy kicking in just 11 seconds. The javelin count has been completed down to just 17. Make it 15. Upgrade comes through, but the villagers are now running out into no man's land because he desperately needs food to make matters worse. He runs into a spring placement. More worker kills coming in. The pressure continues. The Kurultai now on its way to renew the buff. Even with that detail out of our mind, it doesn't matter. The game is already over. Louis MT has nothing to do with his economy. Lost the army dead, and he's done it for the first time in this series. It took 7 games in this best of 9, but Anatan takes the lead. Whoa. All right, late riser apparently, but when he rises, he blooms full. Anatan now 1 game away from victory in HIMS Cup number 6. It would make him the only person to have played in these weekly show matches to never lose. What a way to do it. Next, we head into... We only have 1 map left, right? It's Gorge. With this draft... I would say with this type of draft, and also, wait, what's happened there? 1 second. That's weird. The offset's not working. It's not updating the score thing. With this type of draft on Gorge, you're probably going to be looking at Roos versus China or Sushi. It's interesting actually because, like, yeah, there we go, Roos China. I'm not surprised he doesn't save Roos for Stiff. There's not much wood line, so like you don't benefit there. You wouldn't be able to get good high tracers or hunt cabins either. It's also a linear map, so like the idea of horse archers is devalued. So yeah, pretty sensible choice to just whip out the Roos here in game number 8. Sorry, just catching up on chat. Ooh. Roos China. When we've been seeing this recently, I think China's... Have they been struggling? I think China's been getting a little bit more focused on feudal wins against this, right? Gorge is like a decent map at doing that as well. Because all the resources are kind of forward spawning minus the wood. You tried to be subtle? Yeah, you gave up on like being subtle when you got to this one. Ooh. Oh, I just tweaked my back. Oh my god, I'm getting old. Oh. Sorry, like the noise aren't meant to sound like that. It's like, oh, I don't know what I just done there. Dude, it's because I've been sleeping funny. Like, I'm laying on my back and I'm being very careful about how I sleep right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, here we go. Let's get ready to kick into it. How the turns have tabled. One and all, we could never have predicted this. After the way this epic show match began, Anatan is now 1 game away from being the uncontested king of the HIMS Cups. That's right. Game number 8 of our best of 9 on Gorge. Anatan with one of his signature picks. This man is a vile monster on the Chinese. But Lu MT has got one of the monstrosities that never gets let through the draft. It is Roos, the Team Elephants member, looking to make us go into game 9, where we'll hang out on a certain member to decide this outcome. Yeah, crazy show match this turned into. I had to wipe a sweat from my brow, guys. Like, after the way this began with Lu MT taking a 3-0 lead, I was like, oh no, not another week, not like this. But all of a sudden, man, Anatan sprang to life, and this man has looked unstoppable since. Especially in his last Chinese game before the redraft. So curious to see what he's going to do in this one. In that game, if you guys remember, that Sushi versus Chinese, where Anatan went for a very aggressive line on an archer build. Wouldn't be surprised if we see similar here up against Roos to try and deny them access to the third age. Scout beginner, Louis MT, of course, with the triple scout, courtesy of being Roos. Powerful play, gets him 15 sheep. Anatan does respectable against this, though. Check that. It's going to end up being 12 sheep, and... Ooh. Yeah, he's going to get pressured to run back early, but he might find them later. There's 2 missing on the east side that neither player actually scouted in the corner. Imperial Academy, as expected, going to be on the way. Gamba slightly favoring Louis. People believe in the Roos power. I think also deep down, places they don't always want to admit the parties, they just really, really want things to go stiff one more time in this series. I mean, there's something poetic about it, right? Having the 9-game series just feels right. A nice deer shove. Obvious value whenever you play Roos. Is Louis doing both? Yo, he's at... What? What? Nah, there's no way. I was about to say, there's no way you get away with a double deer shove. That would be crazy. At the same time, Anatan is running across, so we'll see what's happening. And this is just a classic. Like, this is what you have to do in the current meta. You can't really allow a deer shove for free. You can at least easily strip half the value. It's very difficult against Roos just because they have so many scouts. They will just keep chasing you away. Deer pushing with 1 scout is close to impossible. I've done it. It's not impossible, it's just very time consuming. And at the high level, like I'd say, you'd be right at the high level, it's impossible. Because players are switched on and denying it very fast. Great micro by Anatan, by the way. Snipes enough the deer, there's only 3 left. So Louis, because he hasn't got pro scouts yet, will still just shove it in. That's fine. Might as well do something with the time. But Anatan will be happy with the fact that this now delays the value of a 50% deer return for Louis. Just be careful not to lose that scout, though. It's tricky when you get this low. You don't believe me? Check the VODs. We literally streamed it when we done the deer show. We got compliments because people couldn't believe I was decent at deer show. Like, oh my god, KP knows how to do this. Like, yeah, dude. It's my macro that sucks. I'm a Dota gamer. I know how to click things. It's happening. Louis MT gets a second opportunity to experience and counter this build. The archery range beginning. Anatan has no interest in rushing pro scouts, folks. I'm excited. Roos is one of the most obnoxious civs defensively. It's so hard to just stop them getting value to go Castle Age. And the way they do it without touching expensive resources, right? They don't need to go for things that are dangerously located, like the gold, the berries here, is what I think makes them so annoying to play against. But Anatan is going to try it. Already gone up to 5 archers. Louis MT, because he's already queued up pro scouts, cannot mirror into archers in a rush himself. He will, however, have the very potent wooden fortresses. You can't push 1 pack with even 3 deer. You just have to, like, in and out. That's the problem with it and why it's annoying to do. Is like 1 unit. Like, if we're approaching these deer here, you know, 1 unit's going to have to push here, and then you have to push here, and then push here. So you have to keep running wide. That's what makes it really inefficient. If you just have 3 units, they're already in position. Which means you are tripling, quadrupling, actually, the speed at which you do a deer shot. So Archer's in position. He can actually block this. I love that he waits for 4, just so he can actually efficiently threaten them before they can walk past. And yeah, it is going to be a duck and run. Louis MT now realizes he's not going to get this for free. Is it going to be archers or horsemen? It's archers. Okay. Yeah, and this is interesting. Anatan already diversified into spears. Pro Scouts is now coming in. The spear detail is interesting as Louis hadn't given a reason, but he has to assume. Spears can still be good at dealing with the scouts, but the most important thing here is if you wait until your opponent builds a knight, you're going to lose these archers. That is a ballsy spear, by the way. Chill, brother, chill. I'll snipe one here, though. In fact, these archers could get the second. Lunacy so far has got what? 2 deer through? 3. 3 deer have made it back home. Yeah, this is tough. So why did Anatan go for this build? This is a reaction to the map, guys. Anno saw that it was double deer stack on the east side and chose this. If this was deer east and deer west, like, you couldn't really do this. You'd split too thin. That's why Gorge can feel really great for Pro Scout play or one of the worst maps in the game. It sometimes feels like a bit of a coin flip. Louis. After seeing the spears, he's just going to make it even more archers, but that's scary against China. He's already got double archer range, and remember, he can always supervise to make it even better. Yeah, that's like, I think one of the weird things for Roos in this matchup is like you build a wooden fortress for 175 to get 20% more resources, right? But China can do that too, and they only pay 105. So it's not really an advantage. Like, the defensive advantage is big, you know, you can protect yourself, but what happens when you have to come out of the base for something? That's when it gets awkward. But hold on a sec. What? Anatan, he pulled off with a close deer. So Louis does get the free home. Castle is now just around the corner. Situation where Anatan isn't rushing the age up himself. Now, this matchup is very different to the Shushi matchup. In the Shushi matchup, remember, there was a lot of exposed resources that need to be grabbed, right? The deer was suffocated out. That's important. But the more important thing was also that in that game, Louis was playing Shushi, and he couldn't touch gold. In this game, playing Roos, you don't need to touch gold. The gold just touches you. Still the arrow priority now coming from Anatan. High Trade House also on the way. Make sure you get your numbers in, folks. I imagine Anatan is suspecting what's happened here now. We'll start to lose some of his scouts. Archer Intercept is coming, but Hesitation doesn't want to commit. Well, is there an opening here? I mean, the Archer counts are quite similar, but with Undermesh Shield Arrow, they're going to feel miles apart. Anno looks for the jump in. Lou's going to kite to buy some time. The tech up is about to complete, and the whole plan now known. Anatan, I guess he's going to have to mirror here. This isn't the substantial military lead you need for a dive, right? Both archers do get immediately queued. Monastery as well. Louis being fairly greedy about this as he scales into the real military. And understandable. I think in his mindset, Anatan is going to have to age up. He's not just going to raw commit. Like, the army isn't big enough in feudal. What I love from Anatan is the fact that he's balancing it between building more military and teching. It's almost like he was expecting the greed. So we'll start shuffling around. Horse Archer archers are coming around the back here. No undermesh in a rush. And this is interesting. Louis is actually going for the veterancy on his archers. Wait. Anatan, I think he just needs to get out now. Yeah, at this rate, you'll end up fighting just as it kicks in. That's not a fight he wants when he's stockpiling this much. So it does give the respect. Louis MT will not die that easily. Wait, what are you guys complaining about cabins? Cabins are absolutely fine. They're ridiculous. The scale point is quite interesting in hunting cabins. On average, you're going to get like, what, 20, 25 gold on them. So you pay 4x what they cost to get them. To get a type of resource is harder to get. Whereas with like manors, you pay 300 resources to get, was it 105? It's just like you pay 3 times to get. It's a very different time in the game. Very different style of scaling. You have to go on just like stone, wood. They don't fulfill the same role at all. So like weirdly enough, hunting cabin spam at the beginning of the game doesn't really slow down your game like mana does, if that makes sense. It feels very fluid on the acceleration. Horse Archers already accelerating across the map. They are going to find these scouts trying to get the deer home, but they're going to be a little bit too late to deny them. Yeah, only 3. Diving the TC is not an ideal situation to find yourself in here. Most of the deer have already been removed. Last few are already now coming home. Now, what surprised me the most is, like, Louis, he vetted those archers. He lost them. I'm not sure if it's really worth it over just getting more horse archers here. The horse archer count does look plump, ripe for the taking. And Anatan is going to add in knights to kind of litter this. Good to know on the relics. Needed this as well. One's already home, second one coming from Louis. And he's going to snatch this one away himself. So Anatan able to secure some gold himself. Interesting. Knight plus archer. I like this from Addo. Idea is that the horse archers just get bogged down trying to kill you. You could have maybe done men-at-arms instead. But I think Anno was maybe paranoid that that's what Louis wanted to do, is to go knights. So if you beat him to the punchline, it keeps him away. Because if you both go knights at the same time, Roos ones are better with the boys' fortitude. Like, I think in Anno's mind, he wants to do everything he can to not let Louis justify boys' fortitude. 25 health doesn't sound like a lot per unit. It really is. Especially on a unit that has 85 HP. Hit plop continues, so we're about to hit 10 units in about the next 20 seconds. The other thing that's now scary for Louis is Anatan, if you're not looking, he can just sneak in with one knight, kill 3-4 villages here or there. Love the wooden fortress. It's going to be secure onto the ball. It's another tricky thing. We talked about the 20% extra wood you get, but China gets 20% more of everything. So if you split the pro scouts, they're going to have more food safe at home. But it wasn't a split, right? Anatan took from your side. Now he's looking to take some souls. Guys underneath the TC. Ballsy move here. TC Fire is actually focusing on the Lancers instead of the Archers. Chase being given, but great micro. Louis just keeping his distance to minimize the damage received. It's now been reached. Tricky as well. Doesn't have that boy's fortitude. Textiles has been queued up. Steeled Arrow 2 as well. But being mirrored here by Anatan. The A-click. Wait, no, no! Anno! He didn't realize. A-click betrays him. It gives the space, so the Lancers will get cleared. That's only wave number 1. Like, you've ran out of your base with your army. And there's more troopers barreling towards you. Now, he does have a group of horse archers intercepting. This is great play by Louis. Just to kind of minimize the impact of the push timing. But now he's standing his ground against these archers. Gold income is going to look solid here. Louis MT has got 130 gold from the high trade house. He's about to get a 4th relic home. Has taken a little bit of eco damage along the line, but along the way rather, but like not too much here. I think he's in a pretty sturdy position. And he's doing a good job of just dragging the map around, which is what you usually want to do with horse archers. If your opponent's got this all-in timing, you want to do everything you can to stop him reaching it. Now, like, as this count scales and scales, Anna's going to be a bit paranoid. Like, can I really push? If I put everything down the center, where are these horse archers at? That's the difference, right? Like, for Louis, killing villagers is a lot easier because horse archers are a ranged cav unit. Your ranged unit is slow. Direct fight, though, I am still seeing problems for Louis. Even this switch into Horseman, I don't think it's really in equal numbers going to feel great into Archer Lancers. Does justify Boy's Fortitude, though. Yeah, it's not the way we were expecting, right? Like, we thought he'd want to try to get Knights. We said why he couldn't. But to then do Horseman in the face of this many Lancers is a little bit nuts. It does at least give him trash cannon fodder, and I think the idea is have enough Horsemen to distract your opponent in front, and then an extra Horseman to dive the Archers at the back. Speaking of those Archers, good cut off. Quick reactions out of Louis. Does end up losing the Warrior Monk, and nice snipe over the tree line, so good microbiano to get additional kills. Triple Sacred Site now. Yeah, it might have lost the Relic game, but equalizes the gold. Especially with taxation on top of that. I mean, hunting cabins are, like, fine within reason. The biggest problem is high trade house. We've talked about this a lot on the channel. Is like, high trade house is overtuned. It needs to receive a nerf. And the reason that's important is I don't think Roos will die because of that. Roos still has so many upsides, it's crazy. Like, the biggest sleeper element people don't give enough appreciation to on a casual level is how valuable it is to have a building that can build additional scouts in Dark Age. What other Civ can do that? Mongols? Like, that's it, right? It's crazy. Especially with things like Sheep Roulette being real in Age of Empires 4, Deer Shoves, Pro Scouts. Also, the importance of unit transitions. Like, if I have more scouts, I'm more probable to scout what you're doing than vice versa. So who's winning this fight? The future fight that we can see is brewing. I mean, Anatan is swelling a lead right now. And Louis has now switched into knights. Yeah, I mean, you can think of horse archers a bit like a mini crossbow, but they really aren't. Sure, 14 damage sounds high, but a crossbow would be doing, what, 21? 22 or 23, I think, with the extra range damage. The only thing you're getting is mobility, and this is why, like, for Louis, it's kept him dynamic to defend. But I think he's kind of reaching the point where he probably wants to peel someone for a raid. And did he just scout it? He did. Look at this. Yeah, I think he glanced this. This is crazy. There's 21 workers out here. Just find his way over. Outpost now being built up on the sacred site as well. Warrior Monk will be able to dive in to try and deny that, but the monks are there. I mean, I'm looking to contest. Like the stance there. Anatan stands inside the berry so the horseman can't overwhelm. There is a warrior monk somewhere. I think he just died, yeah. So no buff coming anymore. Barely any of them received it there. Anatan continues the push. New knights are now arriving. Lumi also on the way for Anatan. Just a little bit of extra damage to try and cleave his way through here. Awkward part right now is these archers are getting A-clicked into horsemen. Which is not ideal. You want to be trading out against these guys, the horse archers. It's like, wait, so after all that, the build-up, the suspense, it's a warrior monk. One warrior monk goes out there. Good lord. Check this, though. Spoon replacement's down the way. Is Anatan doing a poor man's castle build? He's just dropping emplacements on these sacred sites to protect them. It's pretty smart because it's quite probable your opponent would send out like one horse archer to decap. That would stop it. Now he also gets the assistance in the fight. Spoon replacement shots are going to be coming through. Military numbers have evened up, though. Which is good news for Louis. Like, you're even count, but like in theory, your units should be better. We do have a switch, which is interesting for Anatan, however. Instead of just reblobbing archers, he's switching crossbows. I mean, he saw knights, right? But we see that Louis reared away from that. He's like, oh, no, he steered away, rather. He's like, oh, no, that didn't work. You know, you counted me out. So it's now, I don't know if that was an intentional bait and switch by Louis. It doesn't feel like it when you go veterancy on the knights. But in some ways, you have to feel good now that you see crossbows are going to be coming. Yeah, especially when you consider it's like less entities than archers, so it kind of makes horsemen a bit more efficient on just getting in and targeting what they need to. We do have full fortifications, and a Barbican has been dropped on the gold. Outpost on the south side, so he's fully fortified. This is a commitment to the sacred sites in the weirdest way I've seen it in a long time. We're 20 minutes in, we've been castle for a few minutes, and it's a sacred site win condition with no castles. This is so hard to stand on this though. Even with boys fortitude, it doesn't feel worth it for decap. I wonder. Ooh, Anatan's finding the farm transition. That's impressive when you look at the military numbers. This is the thing that usually kills a player in this moment. Is like you just don't want to do it. Then again, like there's a reason why. Yeah, Louis, he'd already began earlier. So they are doing it in sync here. All right, this is a true dance to death. Feels like late game might be calling. He's going to look to snipe this outpost on the side. Torching this down is ambitious, especially... Wait, the spears. He only brought horsemen. If he doesn't kill those spears, he loses. Meanwhile, center. Horse archers have been left alone. Wait, did he send all the horsemen? Practically, yeah. This was like one of the weirdest ways to win Gorge I've seen. Like China against Rus this way. I mean, I understand a Sacred Site win condition with castle drops, but this is the poor man's castle. And they are so hard to kill. Like, it's a sick read by Anatan because the problem is Louis MT's comp relies on horse archers, ergo you have no burn damage. Imagine if this is the other way around where you had 45 horsemen, 15 horse archers. These things melt. Love the spear switch as well. It's just extra trash that the horse archers have to deal with. Well, Anatan scales that backline. So yeah, just cheap cannon fodder. Monster count is getting a bit thin is maybe my one concern here. Now, you're probably wondering why no Nest of Bees. It's a very open map and your opponent has horsemen. That simple. He's forcing him to win now. Out of a few lances in reserve, the horsemen count down to just 9. And remember, he's now building knights, which the crossbows do counter. So weirdly enough, Anatan went to counterplay something. Louis shifted away from it entirely and then gave value to it when it started to flourish. And now he's getting shut down. Check this. He has to camp on the Sacred Site. He's had enough, but this feels like the type of commitment that just kills you outright. Dive to the backside was just a solo knight. That's not going to be good enough. The horse archers, I don't think there's enough left to decap here. Anatan with an extending military lead. Granary set up behind this. The food income is about to rocket. It's already there temporarily for Louis. But Anatan's is going to have more permanence. He's currently up to, what, 20 farms? 24. Now the wiggle room to build more. Yeah, just deleted. He's going to be adding them in. This guy's a monster. Louis should raid. I think the problem for Louis, and this is really credit to Anatan's, is if you were to heat map Anatan's army, it has constantly been sitting in the center of the map or closer. So you see the problem, right? It's like you could raid with horse archers, but he could mirror the raid into your base. That's really important. With the way Gorge makes you play, this is the elegant solution to infantry. Like, if you want to play infantry, you have two options. You either anchor yourself outside your opponent's base like Anatan has, or you wall the entire map. Walling is, I just simply say, off the menu in Season 10. It's so hard to do. Louis now with this rotation around the back. The Barbican, I don't see him coming until quite late, but Anatan's safe, guys. He's got a village and a Barbican. Yeah, like, in some ways, this is probably the hardest civ in the game to raid like this against because of the villages. Especially if you use them like this by Anatan. Just a great read. Now, he is going to peel some of the lancers to go hunting, and the infantry is going to march forward. He's focused in on the Sacred Site win condition. Good reasons. Down to 3.5 minutes now. Banganel arrives, but I mean, who's going to protect that? There's not really anyone who can assist it. The horse archers are now going to the farms, though, but they're wasting time on the lancers. I think he's distracted. Yeah, he's focusing on the fight in the center. And these horse archers, despite that dive in, only finds 1 or 2 worker kills. Gets chased away. Anatan now able to taste that victory. Military Academy also on the way to keep the blob going. Spears will have to retreat. And Louis MT has basically discarded horse archers, guys. We're now into archer mass. Okay, so that means raiding potential is going to be off the menu. It's a small leftover group of horse archers, then nothing else. You could raid with knights, but very expensive for him here. And it feels like he needs everything gunning for the Sacred Sites. So what, could Louis go Springles here? Like, looking at Anatan's army, Springles might be one of your best answers, but it's just so scary against this many archers. He's trying to just get a ram in there to answer that one outpost. Nestabees is now here, though. Horsemen, Knights are just going to hard commit in. Knob shots aren't going to insta-kill, but the trickle damage are going to layer out across that back line. Look at this. Just keeping enough troops on there to make sure there's no continuous decap. He's got him locked in the meat grinder now. Look at the difference in food income. Louis now behind after Anatan at one point was half of the income. He now has that accelerant he needs on the granaries. And the overwhelm is too mighty. It's happening. Anatan swelling up a double military lead. An overwhelm in the center. And now an ability to start pushing in. I'm just thinking back to Gorge when it was in every tournament and how different it started to feel in the later phases with the grind down. But the stylistic approach here we see on Gorge is so different to what we got even just a year ago. It can definitely be meat grindy, but it's also very aggressive. So what does Louis now do? He's got more farms coming in. I guess it's just too late to scale siege. I just don't see how Louis gets enough trash together. Like, his only hope here... Oh, come on. No! By the time he sees it, you've got to be kidding me! Anatan with a 6th sense sees all. And he seizes all too. Louis MT, there's not enough time. He's going to rush for a keep in the center in the middle of the fight. But remember, folks, there's nest of bees here. Archer's starting to move in tandem with them to snipe them out. The workers are going to dive past. But here's the funny thing. If he clears the army, there'll be no one to decap the sacred site. And he's clearing the army so damn fast. He chases him back. He peels the troops across. And he peels skin, flesh, and bone from the prodigy kid from China. It's gonna be ended in game A. Anatan with the full reverse sweep. And I am angry because for some reason I didn't have the record button going for that game, which means I'm going to have to get it from the VODs. Oh, come on. That means the quality is going to be lower. I'm not happy with that. Damn it. I can't believe that. I can't. Like, dude, that was like the best game to end on. And for some reason, it was the only one I didn't record the series. I think I must have thumbed the wrong button on my stream deck. But big GG's to Anatad. Anatad? Anachad. Was halfway between Tand and Chad. What a legend, man. What a turnaround. So he is our irrefutable champion of HIMS Cup. I'm sure we'll be having him back next week if he wants to come back in. Who knows what we got for him? I haven't plotted out yet. We'll see what we throw at him in the next HIMS Cup. That's why it's important you guys always turn up. Remember, these happen all the time, every single Friday, 3 p.m. But don't worry, we've got plenty of other doses of Age of Empires for you. Reminder that we've still got 3 weeks of midweek muster left. That action will resume on Monday. So make sure you've got that locked in and you tune in on those. So we go live about just past midday UK time. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays for the midweek muster. And then, of course, we have Fridays for these show matches. But yeah, crazy one. Epic series. Interviews? Nah, we'll let Anna-chan chill. Any feedback for Stiff? And I'll pass it along. All right. So yeah, I think I might call it there because I'm really hungry. I'm trying not to like overdo it this week. So and also actually it lines up like nicely, so I can spend a few minutes with my daughter and my son before she goes to bed. Yeah, guys. All right. So in that case, did I miss anything on the YouTubers? Or they've been chill? They've been vibing. Hell yeah. Amazing games, I agree. Can we cast a team game? Sorry, Kicks. Like I said, I'm hungry and I want to spend a little bit of time with my daughter. It's also hard to find like good quality team games. So we'll be back. I'd say about 12:30 UK time, 12:30 or 1 p.m. UK time. I'll definitely be live by then. I'm not going to go live this weekend. I'm going to see my best friend who I haven't seen in like weeks and weeks because I'm non-stop working on the weekends. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time catching up with him, then catching up with the family. So I'll be back on Monday. But thank you guys. Pleasure as always. Make sure you are following. Make sure you've got notifications on so you do catch us when we go live. Also join the Discord. We always ping out there. And be sure to tell everyone else about these. Let's keep growing these. Let's keep getting bigger and better. Let's see if we can get HIMS to come back bigger and better alongside Midweek Muster as well. But GG's, folks. YouTube, I'm going to end the stream now. Twitch, we're going to find someone to raid.